Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Welcome, everybody, to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. It is Tuesday, November 28th, and we got a packed show planned for you guys today. As always, my partner in crime, Sam Flannel. Look at him. He's in his flannel. He's ready to go. JB with the Yes, I'm Cold, Me, 24/7 hoodie.
Yes.
True
statement.
It. That's a dad hoodie, and I like it. I do. I like it,
True
JB.
statement, though.
How you doing this morning, JB? How you feeling?
I'm tired. Super tired.
Yeah, he's cold and he's tired. Matt Broder joining us. Just got done with Woodward in Maine. We'll be talking to him at 8:15 more in depth. Previewing the game this upcoming weekend. Lucas Klotz, Toledo's own, Toledo's finest, in the booth holding it down for us.
Indeed-o.
Shout out to Ryan for the Jeff DeVito kind of collab there on the thumbnail. Hey, it looks real.
It does. And that is a very authentic Photoshop.
That looks like him. I'm not gonna lie to you.
He just wins more.
He just wins. Tommy DeVito, winner.
Winner.
Quarterback wins only matter when Tommy DeVito's starting.
Quarterback rating does not.
No. Yeah, 15
QBR.
What number is Tommy DeVito? Isn't Tommy DeVito 15 too? His number?
Wait, is he?
I think so.
Now that's even better. Now I want to get the confirmation on that. Damn it! I think he is.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
pretty sure he's 15.
Same quarterback rating as his number. Jordan Schaefer says JB real glue guy in Woodward Sports. That is
That's
100% correct there. Don Beats, what up, my guy? Says you look more like Baker if you ask me. Well, that's an insult, so I'm taking that personally. I'd shake and bake.
Shake and bake.
Damn. I don't want to be shake and bake. Clay says game last night was an absolute barn burner. Yeah. Watching that game, and me and Sam, we both picked the Vikings.
I picked the
Vikings. Then JB and Lucas picked the Bears. By the way, good job, fellas. That was a hard-earned win. I cashed out my bet there, over 4.5 receptions from DJ Moore. JB, I know you made some bread as well.
Yep.
You had a couple different bets in. But yeah, that was disgusting.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
disgusting.
that was bad.
How many turnovers were in that game? I'm trying to think.
Six.
Six
There were more than six turnovers.
Wait, were there more than six?
Fields had two fumbles. Did he have a pick?
He did not have a pick.
Okay, so yeah, there was six then.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah,
My fault.
it was awful. That game was awful. Now, a couple of things that you got to see, again, the new addition, Montez Sweat, had a sack and a half.
Yeah,
was
he was
real
doing his
good.
thing.
And I wanted to bring this up because, and I want Sam. I'm not even trying to come at Aiden, but this is why I'm lost with some of this stuff. And we had this conversation last week about where Aiden is as a player, and I think he will be great. He's a damn good player. Don't get me wrong, but it's just weird that before the season and during the season, even you look at this Bears defensive line, it was always the weakness of the Bears. It was always something you looked at. You're like, well, the secondary's got some pieces offensively. The offensive line and the defensive line need some work. And then Montez Sweat gets there, and in 3 games, he has 2.5 sacks.
So he's better than Aiden Hutchinson.
No, I'm just saying. But couldn't you make that argument for Montez too in Chicago? Like, the guy needs help.
I mean, on paper, yeah, but Montez Sweat has been making plays, and here's the thing. And
I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm genuinely asking. Like, he comes to Chicago, boom, 2.5 sacks in 3 games.
I mean, Yannick Ngakoue and DeMarcus Walker are better than anything that Aiden Hutchinson has opposite of him, and that's absolute facts. But I get it, Aiden Hutchinson has Aleem McNeil, but I mean, here's the thing.
DeMarcus Walker.
He's better than Charles Harris and John Kaminsky.
You're not bringing up DeMarcus Walker.
You're not wrong, but it's not saying much.
I know it's not saying much, but here's the thing. When the Lions lost, I am much more inclined to criticize even players that I like. And I told you that Aiden Hutchinson, he wasn't the problem, but he didn't make enough plays to be the solution. I know it's kind of cliche and all of that. But amongst all that, and I know you guys scoff at this because it's the most useless thing in the world, Aiden Hutchinson is the 6th highest rated edge rusher according to PFF still. He's still having a good season. I know that means nothing. I know that means absolutely nothing, and it's just count the sacks, bruh, which is relevant from time to time. But Aiden Hutchinson is still good, and now people are trying to dance on his grave that they'd rather have, 25 edge rushers ahead of him at this point. Come on, slow it down just a little bit.
You could put all those PFF grades in a joint and smoke it. All right, I don't give a damn.
Is it really that useless? Pressures are completely useless. Pressures are completely useless.
Lucas, because I texted you this last night too, and I wasn't even trying to be like a douche. I'm genuinely asking. What? You think there's excuses for Montez? He just is out there 2.5 sacks in 3 games.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I wish I could tell you. I wish I had the answers. Unfortunately, the ball nowhere on this one. He doesn't have any. I don't have any equations. I don't have any formulas. I don't have anything for this. It is what it is. It is what it is. Maybe Hutch is just not having his best year, and Aaron Glenn isn't having his best year coaching either. Both things can be true, but the one thing that you do know that has to improve, regardless of what's going on, Hutch does have to get to the quarterback more.
He does. It gets sacks. You can talk about your pressures, and I get all that. It matters, but eventually, get some sacks. Brother, what was your takeaway from that just garbage fest?
Well, Iowa-Nebraska game last night.
Yeah, well, even worse than that. Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings.
Oh yeah. Oh, same thing. Didn't Danny DeVito had a higher QB rating than both their team scores? It was just ugly. I mean, it was good for the Lions seeing Chicago come out on top somehow, some way in that game. But it makes me take a step back of the, maybe not fear. Fear might not be the right word, but Minnesota might have something going on here. Like they might be able to sneak out a couple wins and be there at the end of the season. I don't see that happening.
And the interesting thing, the whole Josh Dobbs story, and we knew it would come to an end, Lucas. I know we talked a lot about Dobbs, and there's people
not a crashing halt like that, though.
No, we didn't think about 4. What do you have? 4 interceptions. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Could have had another one. Jalen Johnson, by the way, he's a dude. He's a dude, man. I mean, he last night made some plays.
So was Metellus for the Vikings, number 44.
Good Michigan man, by the way.
Metellus.
Very fine Michigan man.
Yep.
He went off against the Lions last year too. Oh, he's a Michigan man.
Josh Metellus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's solid. I like him.
Very fine Michigan man. He had he had half a sack, 9 total tackles. But the whole thing with Josh Dobbs, and we knew eventually it would come back down to earth. And 4 interceptions, didn't play well. And you got Kevin O'Connell, not directly, but Adam Schefter kind of put this out and said that the Vikings will, look at all options at the quarterback position now. Yeah, that's what a storyline.
Nick Foles signing is soon to come.
Yeah, Nick Foles, it's going to be something. It was awesome. It was fun. It lasted a couple games, but it's unfortunate now the Josh Dobbs thing is. Kevin O'Connell's probably looking at him like, we could probably get a little better. Because they're still, they're 6-6. They got a decent schedule coming up. They're still alive. Despite what I've always said earlier in the season, which they should just, throw the season away or at least, not go all in. But they got Dobbs. They were alive. We'll see what they can do.
Sure.
But Dobbs clearly isn't the answer. So it is what it is.
Got the answers
well, if you're a Lions fan right now, I know that things were looking pretty bleak after Thursday. I mean, in terms of being a contender for the Super Bowl, but things were also looking bleak in another direction. You thought maybe that schedule was a little bit more difficult than we might have initially thought. Maybe the Lions may be even in danger to losing the 3 seed to the New Orleans Saints if they go to the Superdome next week and lose. Maybe they're in danger of losing the division to the Vikings if the Vikings keep playing well and the Lions go to Minnesota and lose and maybe even get swept by them or even split with them. But the New Orleans Saints, they go to the Atlanta Falcons and Derek Carr throws a terrible pick 6. They can't score any touchdowns when they get in the red zone. They lose. I think the 3 seed, as long as the Lions win the division, is 100% locked up. And then the Minnesota Vikings lose a game at home to the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football. And Josh Dobbs throws 4 interceptions. If he only throws 3, they probably still win because the Chicago Bears, this is an insane stat. In the last 2 games, they have had 7 interceptions and have scored a grand total of 6 points off of said interceptions. They almost still lost. Josh Dobbs almost got a quarterback win after throwing 4 picks. That's insane.
Imagine if the Lions, and this is where I'll give Jared Goff credit, if you get 6 interceptions in 2 games, Jared Goff's scoring on most of those. And that's why I think the Fields thing is over. At least for me. You're going to have a top 5 picks. Yeah. Maybe, with the Bears, if they win a couple games, maybe it's top 6, whatever it is. But you're going to have 2 top 10 picks, certainly. They got to get a quarterback, Lucas.
Yeah,
I think the Fields thing, it's over.
I think they know that too. The amount of screens they ran, the amount of times Justin Fields actually threw the ball down the field was probably like 6 through that whole game. The amount of screens that DJ Moore that they had to go to get Justin in rhythm to throw the ball down the field. He only threw the ball down the field consistently in the last 2 drives. Everything else was behind the line of scrimmage and to check down to Cole Kmet. So they're scared to unleash Justin Fields down the field. And at this point, with how bad their record is and Matt Eberflus's coaching record, that if he's on the hot seat, he obviously doesn't trust Justin Fields. It could be Eberflus thing, but also could be Eberflus and Fields thing, and that's what it looks like to me right now.
Yeah, that's the problem. Even though the defense is playing a lot better, and Eberflus defensive-minded, the defense is improving. The offense is so bad, and that's a problem. And I think that Eberflus this year is going to lose his job. They're going to replace him.
He should be fired in like 2 weeks. Let him coach this week for the win.
Yeah,
and then get him out of there.
And then you draft a quarterback, you get an offensive coach, and you take it from there.
See, I don't know if he's going to get fired. I'm not trying.
I hope not.
I'm not trying
not.
to cape up for Matt Eberflus or anything like that. So don't get it twisted. But the rush defense is one of the tops in the league, and their defense overall has improved greatly. And Montez Sweat has kind of stepped right in and been that game-wrecking edge rusher. And Matt Eberflus is a defensive coach. It's just the offense right now can't get it together. But to Justin Fields' credit, after he gagged away a couple of clutch moments when he could have put them up by 2 scores when they were in field goal range, he fumbled. And then the first drive after the Minnesota Vikings took the lead, he lost a fumble as well. He finally, in his 3rd season, after about 10 different chances, finally, and to the benefit of the Lions, had a clutch moment. That drive and that throw to DJ Moore, that was big time.
Yeah.
And credit to Josh Dobbs for keeping the Bears in that game. And you know what? Sometimes you just got to make the play when it counts. But Justin Fields, don't get it twisted, did not play a good game. He did not deserve that mythical quarterback win or that fake stat that you all like to.
That was a Cairo Santos win.
That was a Cairo Santos. That's actually a good point. That was a kicker win right there.
Yeah, if you're a head coach, I don't care. Listen, I get he's a defensive-minded guy. Defense is playing better. If you can't get the quarterback right, you can't get him on track, you deserve to be fired. And that's why I believe in getting offensive coaches. You get offensive coaches with young quarterbacks. That's what you do. It's a very simple ideology. A lot of teams follow it. Guess what? The Chargers, although it's different because the Chargers defense doesn't look great, although they just played well, doesn't matter. Fire his ass. That's just how it works. Shout out to Dante, by the way, for the $10. He says the magic numbers to win the NFC North for the Lions is 4 games. The next 4 games is New Orleans, Chicago, Denver, and Minnesota. If the Detroit Lions do their job, then they're NFC North champs. There you go. And by the way, how do you feel, Lucas? You think Vikings tougher game than the Broncos?
I still think because it's a divisional game, Justin Jefferson will probably be back. Yeah.
Yeah, keep holding on to that divisional game. That's all you got.
That's true. It's true. That's the thing. They have more film. They played against this team more. I'm not worried about the Broncos coming to Ford Field and cooking. I'm sorry, I'm not.
No, I don't want to go that far. I don't think they're going to cook. I think they'll beat both teams, but man,
so do I.
I just think the Vikings. We'll see if Dobbs is starting. I'm going to stick with the
Justin
Broncos.
Jefferson, Danielle Hunter, and T.J. Hockenson are all better players than anything on the Broncos roster right now.
That's fair.
And that's all. Like, it's just a personnel thing. Like, I'm more worried about Justin Jefferson having like 160 yards, Jordan Addison having 80 on top of it with a touchdown. Like, I know just Josh Dobbs, but Devontae Adams got loose. Keenan Allen got loose. I know Devontae Adams statistically didn't, but Devontae Adams easily could have had 160 yards against the Lions. And I think they just hit Justin Jefferson a couple of times, he could go nuclear and give the Lions trouble. I still think the Lions win, but they just have more firepower to keep up with the Lions offensively.
You may be forgetting a couple guys in the Broncos secondary, by the way. I'm not trying to
I Pat Surtain and all that, but at the end of the day, like, Amon-Ra St. Brown gets his regardless of who's in front of him because Ben Johnson schemes him open. Like, Pat Surtain and what army?
But I just
Justin Simmons. He's pretty
and
good.
by the way,
Justin Simmons is solid.
We'll get to our top 10 list later because I can't wait for me and Sam kind of cooked ours up.
Broncos aren't on there, bro.
You better wait.
Dude,
you better wait.
The Denver.
I
gotta see this.
I'm not. I'm not trying to cape. I'm just saying 5 straight wins: Bills, Browns, Chiefs. That's who they've beaten in those 5 games.
Got the answers, man.
If the Lions did that, we'd be like, oh, like Sam Flannel. That's what we'd be doing.
And if Jared Goff had a 5-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio like Russell Wilson, oh my God, we'd want to put the man in the Hall of Fame. People still say Russell Wilson is washed and Sean Payton can't coach. That's clown stuff right there.
You're on it. Yeah.
5-to-1 touchdown interception rate. If it was Jared Goff,
Russell Wilson
Might as well do it, right?
Russell Wilson is mid.
I still agree with that. I don't think he's what he was in Seattle, but I just think Sean Payton is eons better than
What
Kevin
he was
O'Connell.
in Seattle with that defense, running game, and wide receivers. Yeah.
To be fair, towards the end, it was more of the Russell Wilson show. They just didn't have success in the playoffs.
Paul Thomas says no Pistons talk yet. Just gonna say I told you Monty sucks. Well, we're gonna.
I'm not talking about the Pistons.
9:30. I have some things to get off my chest at 9:30. All right, then I'm gonna speak to the people of Detroit, all the Pistons fans. 9:30. Stick around for that. Trust me, I'm in the mirror last night practicing this. All right, I'm pissed off. That's how pissed off I am. Like, this is gonna be smooth how I deliver this message. All right, and it's irritating. And trust me, last night. It's so bad enough that I had to watch this garbage in the NFC North, and then I had to go watch the Pistons. I had to watch the 2-14 Pistons take on the 2-14 Wizards. I mean, what has my life come to? Like, what am I doing on a Monday night? I'm watching that.
What is going on?
I'm watching that. How depressing! Oh my God, the Red Wings though. Thank you so much. Besides the Lions, of course. But thank you to the Red Wings for just providing me something. But regardless, let's go to break here. When we come back, we'll talk to Matt Broder. We'll get his thoughts on the Thanksgiving game, preview the game coming up against the New Orleans Saints, and much more. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at Hamlin Pub, because after last night watching the Wizards, oh my God, I want to go to Hamlin Pub and just...
Pistons feel like regulars.
Yeah, they do. I'm about to be a regular. I'm about to drink every time they play. At Hamlin Pub, check it out. They got deals. Half off pizza on Thursdays, of course. Game day specials available all through Michigan sports and NFL games. It's the place, Hamlin Pub. Visit a location today and experience your new favorite pub for all things sports.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Gabby is a college student struggling to study for her big exam. Then she discovered Syntron, a healthy way for her to stay awake and focus. Jennifer frequently has chaotic days like this until she gets online, orders some Syntron, and finds her groove. April visited her local grocery store, purchased a case of Syntron, and entered to win the Syntron 100K Vegas giveaway. Pick up your case of Syntron today at any Meijer location or visit drinksyntron.com/Vegas and enter for the 100K Vegas giveaway.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
Oh, shoot. I actually have the traffic log in front of me. I grabbed the wrong sheet. All right.
Come on, Patrick Kane's
Join
Red Wing.
Woodward Sports and Long Drink live every home game for the official Lions VIP tailgate party. It's at Eastern Market and Shed number 5, and it is always a bash. Starting at 9:30 a.m. until game time, the official Lions tailgate is back and better than ever. How would you like to pregame with Woodward Sports and be treated like a VIP? Food, beverages, and entertainment all included. Get your tickets online today at bullseyeeventgroup.com or win some from Woodward Sports today. Just subscribe to our YouTube. Follow us on IG and direct message Lions VIP.
Wow. We're going to get into Lions with Broder, but I just want to say this. Patrick Kane's a Red Wing. So let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. And this is the turning point of hopefully the Pistons will eventually get there. But the Lions are at and the Red Wings are at where you're an attractive free agency destination. Congratulations. You have a good team. And Patrick Kane feels the exact same way. He played last year, had 36 goals. 57 assists, or excuse me, 57 points total. Look at that. He had 21 goals, 36 assists, and a total of 57 points. So, welcome, Patrick Kane. Still can play. 35 years old, still got a lot left in him. Yzerman, I love you. Thank you for not ruining my morning completely because I have to talk about the Pistons today. Patrick Kane's a Red Wing. Let's go. That's a W. But let's get into Lions talk. We'll save the Patrick Kane stuff because we can spend a whole segment on that, and we'll break that more down later in the show, if not tomorrow. But Patrick Kane's a Red Wing. Let's effing go.
Let's
Matt
go.
Broder, let's go. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you.
Stealing a Chicago.
Yeah,
a Blackhawk.
Stealing a Blackhawk.
Let's go.
It's a great morning. All right, let me ask you, A couple things. Number one, I want your initial takeaways from, because we didn't get to speak to you, on just Thursday. The Lions over the last 2 games, the slump they're in, your confidence level, they'll get out of that.
I just think this is a variety of errors, a variety of sort of mistakes and poor play just all happened, and really in 2 games, and you might even throw the defensive performance in the Chargers game into that. So the last 3 games, those 11 days, weren't so great for the defense, but fortunately the Lions managed to come out of that 2-1, which I think before that, a lot of us would say, all right, we'd be okay with that if we ended that last 3-game stretch 2-1. It just kind of hurts that it was against the Packers. It kind of hurts this season. Some of the losses they've had have been the teams that they've expected to beat, and they've beaten some of the teams they've expected, that people have expected to lose. So it just feels a little different. It just feels odd. The Packers they made the adjustments in game 2, and they came out firing. So now I'm looking for Dan Campbell and this coaching staff over these 10 days to really make some adjustments. I don't know what exactly they're going to do, but this is a time where they got to come out in the last stretch of their season and start playing better, more complete football, because we haven't really seen that yet.
Right.
All right, I'll just ask it quite simply. Are you worried about Jared Goff?
I'm not worried about Jared Goff. I think he looked pretty bad these last 2 games especially, but he looked great the game before. So I think what looked worse to me actually was the Packers game, those fumbles. He just seemed out of whack. He seemed like the Packers were one step ahead of him the whole game. The Bears game, although some of those interceptions were bad, it didn't seem to change his confidence, his demeanor. He looked fine out there. It didn't seem to affect him as bad as he played in that game. And what did he do at the end of that? He came back and led that 4th quarter drive. So I think they're going to iron those things out. I don't expect Jared Goff to play that poorly or to lose the ball like he did in his early years in the league. And I also expect the offensive line, which did struggle too in that game, to figure some things out. Work Colby Sorsdale in these last 10 days, get him more up to speed, because they struggled too.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go as far as to say Colby Sorsdal lost the game. I know Neil Rule would go that route. I wouldn't go that route. I would say this, though. Jared Goff's turnovers, and again, it's something that I think is fixable. And it'd be unfair for me to assume that he's going to keep turning the ball over, because in the sample size we have in Detroit, he has not done that. Nowhere near the level he did it in L.A., but this is the 2nd worst stretch of turnovers he's had in his career, dating back to 2019 in L.A. He had 7 in 2 games, 6 in 2 games with the Lions now with these last 2 games. I want to ask you about the defense, though, because I think there's blame to go around. You could talk about Jared, turning the ball over. You can't do it. It doesn't help your defense.
I also do real quick. I think Ben Johnson, I've rarely said anything bad about him, but I think he got a little predictable over these last couple games. That all combined didn't help with the turnover issues.
Yeah, and the thing with the defense, and I want to ask you, and this is where it's frustrating to me, is we talked about Montez Sweat. We talked about these other guys.
Yeah.
Brad chose to, ride it out with the guys he currently has. You had Bruce Irvin. He's not going to come save the season. James Houston, I don't believe Matt Broder, will, again, like I said yesterday, will fall from a sky and give you a sack a game. I just don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think so either.
Coming off a severe injury. Where are you at with this defense? Is it a scheme issue, more so a personnel issue? I think I'm a little in between. I think it's more so a personnel issue, because it's like the 49ers defense. Any defensive coordinator they have, as long as he doesn't mess it up, he's going to look great.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is personnel, but where are you at with the AG stuff? Because I think people either are the extreme or they don't. He's absolved from blame. I'm somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I think it's first personnel and second scheme. I think they don't have the personnel to not make adjustments that they have, to not try new schemes, get more creative on defense. Aaron Glenn, this is the team that he knew he had going into the season. There are a lot of similar players, especially in that front 7 from last season. So it's not like it's a surprise he's got all these new players and he's trying to figure it out. He's got all the same players that have been developing through the system. So you got to try something new. Having those cornerbacks, having that secondary stand out on an island for 4, 5, 6 seconds. Even if you had Jalen Ramsey or Sauce Gardner, they can't stick with some of the top receivers in the NFL for 5, 6, 7 seconds. So you got to find a way to not just get Aiden Hutchinson some help, because there's no new ammunition coming, but get him in positions, get other guys in positions to bring out the best in the other players. I don't know what that is. I wanted to see more Alex Anzalone rushing the quarterback. Yeah. He's obviously hurt. He might be missing a couple weeks.
Can you, before you kind of skip over that, Broder, can you kind of expand on that injury for me?
Yeah, so we don't know exactly. We haven't been We haven't been told exactly what the injury is. It's something to do with his hand or his wrist. He suffered it late in the Packers game, and I didn't even think anything of the injury. To be honest, I didn't think of it this weekend until Dan Campbell talked about it yesterday in his press conference, saying, he might miss some time. So I don't worry as much about, midseason conditioning from a linebacker's perspective when you have a hand injury or wrist injury, but there is some power involved in what they do in the weight room in between games that you might lose a little bit if you're not able to lift weights or do certain things using your wrist or your hand. So we'll see. I think the bigger question is who takes that defensive leadership role with Anzalone out.
I got to switch gears for just a second. Thank you, Lucas. That is a hell of a camera shot, by the way. Broder, I haven't gotten to talk to you about it since. How about those Michigan Wolverines?
Oh, boy.
That big win over Ohio State. How are you feeling about them? How are you feeling about the game? And did you and Booner have a blast last night on Woodward Nights?
Yes, we did. And way to pivot from Alex Anzalone getting injured to the Wolverines. What a game on Saturday. It was going to be... It was a rough weekend for Michigan sports. I was having a rough sports weekend following that Thanksgiving loss, but what we really needed was that win against Ohio State, and they managed to do it. And they did it in a physical, decisive way. It looked like when the Lions are playing at the best and their offensive line is fully in sync and the defensive line is getting to the quarterback and stopping the run. Oh, man, it looked like an NFL-type team out there. And Ohio State actually impressed me. I was impressed a little bit at some of their defense. They did some things that I don't know. I got to give them a few flowers there. But, man, Sharon Moore out-coached Ryan Day. And those guys left the big house victorious.
Lucas, you're about done with that, man.
I can't stand Ryan Day.
Yeah, Lucas's Ohio State fandom, it's on a timer. Because Ryan Day will probably be there next year. So, welcome to being a Michigan fan, Lucas. Congratulations.
It's more like a anti-Ryan Day supporter.
Yeah,
I feel like the epitome of that is a Michigan Wolverines fan. So if they keep him for another year, I'll be a Michigan fan. I'll be a Michigan fan at least for a year.
Okay.
At least
for
a year.
You'll give it. It's like a trial run for you.
I just can't stand it anymore. There's nothing to support. They're not going to beat Michigan as long as they have Ryan Day. And it's just it's watching a 12, 11 week season for what?
QT
to beat up on Illinois and Indiana.
QT says 3 in a row, Lucas. Just reminding you.
No, I know. Trust me, I know.
I'm dead serious. I think that Ryan Day wakes up with cold sweats from nightmares over Michigan.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. Michigan is in Ryan Day's head because whether you like him or not, Lucas, Ohio State has had a lot of talented players the last couple of years, especially at the wide receiver position. They've had C.J. Stroud. They had an offensive lineman in Paris Johnson, and they win every single game except Michigan in the college football playoff. That's basically the legacy of Ryan Day.
That's all that matters. Ohio State, that's all that matters.
It is all that matters because Ohio State, whether we like it or not, they've won the last 2 national championships that Big Ten teams have won. They've been the one team that has consistently shown that they can play with the big dogs of the SEC. Like last year, if they don't shank a field goal, they probably win the national championship, but they can't beat Michigan. Jim Harbaugh, Sharon Moore now, the whole Michigan aura, the whole Michigan program is firmly in the head of Ryan Day, and I love it.
Well, speaking of some Michigan players, Cesar Ruiz, he's over there with the Saints.
Oh, yeah?
And they're taking on the Saints.
Got a good defense. The Saints got a good defense.
Good defense. And I want to ask you, because they suffered some injuries. Chris Olave's hurt. Michael
Lattimore.
Thomas, he's on IR. Lattimore's hurt. Rashid Shaheed is now, he's banged up. Your thoughts on the game this week? You're going to the Superdome. It's a tough place to play. Dan Campbell knows it very well. Jesus, Lucas, what am I doing? Catchphrase. But your thoughts on the game this week and maybe the threat level that the Saints are.
I want to say not much of a threat, but the way you preface that sounded a lot like that Packers game, a team coming in banged up. They don't really have the Saints have a lot to play for. I think that front 7 of the Saints can still get to the quarterback, and that's been the problem the last 2 weeks when Jared Goff has had pressure on him. That's when the mistakes have happened. So I don't think it's anything to look past. Like you said, going to the Superdome, going to New Orleans is not an easy place to play. But what gives me hope is that Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, a lot of guys on this team with connections to the Saints, Alex Anzalone included, This game is one of those that they circled on their calendar because of how important it is to them. So I don't think they're going to be unprepared, which it felt like the Packers over-prepared or were more prepared than the Lions, Dan Campbell is going to have this team ready. It might not mean that Jonah Jackson's back, Alex Anzalone. They still have some things that worry me about how they're going to play, and I really do. I'm curious what's going to happen with Alex Anzalone out. What's Jack Campbell's role now? Does Malcolm Rodriguez start playing more defense, or what do they do in that linebacker position? This is where Aaron Glenn, he's now got some something in front of him where he does have to make some plays of his own, for lack of a better term.
And maybe Jack Campbell gets to play his natural position.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Does that help? Does this injury, is it a blessing in disguise? We never want to see Alex Anzalone or anyone get injured, but this shoves Jack Campbell right into the mix where they were sort of inching him along. He's been getting more and more snaps. Now he's right in the fire, and he's got an important role. I just don't know if he's going to wear the green dot, so who does? We'll see.
On this defense, I mean, Broder, I love the optimism. I can't see it. Alex Anzalone being out as a blessing in disguise, because whether you like it or not, your linebacker room is Derek Barnes, Jack Campbell, and Malcolm Rodriguez at this point, and that's not ideal. As much as you guys,
we know you're feeling on Malcolm Flannel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying the fact that he can't get on the field at the linebacker position, everyone acts like that's like a flex for him. I mean, that's fine. That's
says
all.
more
that's
about
all.
the linebackers you have, but regardless.
You see him with that snag though? I believe it was either last week or was it?
Yeah, it was last week.
It was hands catch too.
And Flynn, I'm not saying this is good for the short-term Lions. Losing Anzalone is not a good. Like, he's been your maybe your most consistent defensive player
by far
on the entire defense. But I'm saying if Jack Campbell can get some added experience before the playoffs, maybe he starts to come alive later on the season or in the playoffs, or doesn't make the same rookie mistakes that he may make with less experience, I should say.
Yeah, Shaq Leonard, I don't think he's coming either. The Eagles want him. So.
Eagles or Cowboys.
How about Marcus Peters?
Hey, I thought
he just got cut.
Thing.
I know. I just don't know if because he said things that are being reported about him, like he takes plays off, and they preach all the time about the right player, the right person. If they go get Marcus Peters, like
nothing makes sense.
Nothing makes sense.
He's boys with Jared Goff. They play together in LA, and they're very close friends.
But like that was, remember Chase Young? He takes plays off, and then Marcus Peters. All that's being reported is he takes plays off. Fair. He's not good in the run against the run. If they sign him, cool. I'm not going to complain. But like, what are we doing here? I mean, what's the philosophy with players then? I don't get it. Regardless,
I do think they got to add either depth to that cornerback room or some more firepower on that defensive line to help out the cornerbacks in that secondary. So I don't think Brad Holmes is done. I don't.
I hope not. That'd be nice to get an addition late in the season, because Bruce Irvin, he's coming back. I mean,
bring him home.
And I'm not even trying to diss him. He said, "Hey, listen, he had a great career. He's been around for a while. He offers a lot of mentorship to the players, but like, let's not act like Bruce Irvin, he's going to be the piece that unlocks Aiden Hutchinson. But regardless,
he's a voice in the locker room. He's a veteran voice.
You are correct.
Mentorship.
He's a freak.
You are correct, Sam Flannel. All right. Thanks, Matt Broder, for joining us. Yeah, you can check out Broder Woodward nights 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Except Friday. Whatever.
Stab me right in the heart.
So dumb, by the way. Dumbest thing ever. But you guys aren't on Friday. But you guys are crushing, normally. So I appreciate you. Normally you are. So tune in. Woodward Nights, the best night show in the country. Check those boys out. Does great work. Also follow Matt Broder on Twitter. What's your Twitter, by the way?
MattBro21.
Or your ex. Whatever the hell it is. He's always out there at Allen Park, at Ford Field, so check out his updates as well. Thank you, brother, for joining the show.
Thank you for having me.
You can stick around for as long as you want. I'm not going to kick you out.
I'm just going to hang out.
I'm not kicking you out.
Yeah.
So it's going to be up to you.
All right,
cool. All right, Sam, can you tell us about our friends over at Premier Pet?
Of course. Jake and Milo. When it comes to your pet, don't settle. I don't settle when it comes to my golden retriever, Jake, and my orange cat, Milo. Yes. Hey, everybody knows that now, because Premier Pet has all the best food, toys, treats, and when the pets are behaving right, they deserve all of that. Give your pet the best like I give my pet the best. Premier Pet Supply is hands down Michigan's best pet store. Family owned and operated for over 30 years. 13 Metro Detroit locations, over 60 brands of food, lowest prices, and curbside home delivery. Premier Pet Supply. Give your pet the best. Visit their website at premierpetsupply.com.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White and Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder.
How would you like to win a $100K Vegas getaway? Take your friends and live it up in the city that never sleeps. It's the Centron Energy Drink It and Live It sweepstakes. Purchase a 24-pack today and enter for your chance to win. Register at drinkcentron.com/Vegas and buy Centron at your local Myers store. It's Centron, the healthier energy drink with great taste. Look good, feel great, and be the best version of yourself. Once again, that website, drinkcentron.com/Vegas.
Yes, to all the people that are telling me, Jeff, Patrick Kane to the Red Wings, we did bring that up. It is breaking news. And that is incredible, by the way. Like, and not only the Blackhawks stuff, we kind of already joked about it earlier. And Alex DeBrincat, those guys being back together again. But Patrick Kane, even at 35, he's still pretty productive, by the way. Last year, like I mentioned earlier, and I think 73 games last year, he had 57 points. So, again, more help for the Red Wings. 11-6 on the season so far. So, helps their playoff push. It's great news. We'll break it more down in depth tomorrow. I know D-Mac's going to handle it today on Big D Energy, so tune in for that. It'll probably be their YouTube clip as well. But we did see the news. And it's on Woodward Sports, by the way, all social media. So check out that.
Shout out Kool-Aid.
Shout out Kool-Aid for that as well. All right, let's get into it. Hendon Hooker officially activated. And he can now officially practice. And I think it's perfectly fitting that we have Matt Broder here to join us. Dan Campbell has announced that rookie quarterback Hendon Hooker could start practicing as early as this week.
Did he announce that he's active, or just that he
could start practicing?
Gotcha. Okay,
so he's close.
I know he's on the radio at 8 o'clock every Tuesday, so I don't know if he announced something new.
And he might have. This is what I read yesterday for listening to his press conference, and I know you heard it as well. I think it's great news for a couple different reasons, because personally I'm a huge Hendon Hooker fan. I know a lot of people are. If you pay attention to this past draft, or even watch a lot of college football, you watch Hendon Hooker at Tennessee last season. It was incredible to see what he was able to do. I thought he was initially going to be a first-round pick, even with the ACL injury. Like, I just assumed he would be. And Brad Holmes knew, I mean, it was too good to pass up, even for those who would rather have a kicker in the third round over Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker clearly has more value, more upside. There's a lot of things that make sense about drafting a guy like Hendon Hooker. One thing about Brad Holmes, though, that I notice, and this is why people kind of gloss over some of this stuff, but it's super important you pay attention to the details, because everything Brad Holmes does, he does it with a purpose. And that's what we have to understand, too. I think when people, at least over the last how many weeks of the season, people are like, well, Hendon maybe at this point, and we even asked this question, was it a wasted pick? Like, what's the plan with Hendon Hooker? And I don't think when Brad Holmes makes a decision like this, you draft a quarterback in the third round, that it's intended to be a wasted pick. It could be, but I don't think his intention was for it to be a wasted pick. You talk about Hendon Hooker. He's got a ton of upside. He's got a cannon of an arm, by the way. You watch him at Tennessee. Mobile. The mobility is already there, even with the ACL injury. The leadership, he's super intelligent. Right? He wrote a book on how to be a quarterback. There's a lot of things there to like about Hendon Hooker. Had almost a 70% completion percentage his last 2 years at Tennessee. So accurate throwing the football, which is something you look at in college and see if it will translate. He's got time to learn. He's got time to rehab behind Jared Goff and this coaching staff, learn the offense, and get adjusted to the NFL. And why this is significant is now he can start practicing, or he'll practice soon, which, talk about learning the offense, he'll be at practice, which is better than just throwing on the sideline next to everybody else practicing. He can actually be out there and he can participate. The big thing about Hendon, though, he's 25 years old, which, I mean, that was probably the biggest thing people took away from him. He's 25 years old, he's older, I get all of that. But at the same time, if you try to look at the glass half full side of it, he's experienced. Like, it's not a guy that you come out and you got to wait 2-3 years for him to fully develop. He's played a lot of football. He's played 46 games in college. 46 games. He started in 46 games. Did you know Russell Wilson, speaking of him, we talked about him earlier, he was 24 years old when he started his first NFL game. 24 years old. I believe he was a third-round pick as well. If Hendon plays next season, and by the way, I'm just throwing this out. Let's just say a hypothetical. He plays next season, he'll be 26 years old. So Hendon Hooker, with all the upside he has, he could still play 10 to 12 years in this league if he starts and he plays well. I think personally, and still Jared Goff's team. I'm not going there. It's still Jared Goff's team until it isn't. But as of right now, I'm not going to go that far as to say, in 2024, 2025 will be Hendon Hooker's season. But what I am saying is you got an option. And you got a guy who's under contract for the next 3 years. 4 years, if you want to count this year. And it's nice to have an emergency plan. And that's why I appreciate about Brad Holmes, is he's not just betting the entire house on Jared Goff. Hey, I got a guy here that I was a huge fan of. I like his upside. There's a lot there to like. And if it works out, cool. If it doesn't, okay. You got Jared Goff then. That's a good thing. You extend Jared Goff, he's your franchise quarterback. To me, it's worth the draft selection. It was worth the third-round pick. It's a big deal if he can officially start practicing so coaches can get a better look at him. I love it. I love that he's going to be able to participate.
Well, and here's the reality, and I think at the beginning of the season we were kind of forgetting about this. Hendon Hooker being the quarterback of the future for the Detroit Lions is very much in play, especially if he ever shows the promise in practice, and then maybe if he gets some spot duty at some points during the season that he showed at Tennessee, because you mentioned his last couple of years, the completion percentage. And also, furthermore, he might have won the Heisman last year if he didn't get hurt. And in his last 2 seasons, he had a ridiculous touchdown to interception ratio of 58 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. That is absolutely absurd. I get it. Tennessee has kind of a quarterback-friendly offense. They had Jalen Hyatt, they had Cedric Tillman, but still.
They got Joe Milton.
I would say the Lions have a quarterback-friendly offense as well.
And that is a phenomenal point in weapons like Amon-Ra St. Brown, a developing Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta. But the point is that I said this on Friday, and I have not changed with this. And I think the sentiment has changed for a lot of people. I know, Matt Broder, you're not going to like this. There is no way in hell, after what I've seen these last 5 games and what I've seen for even the whole season as a whole, that I'm giving Jared Goff a deal worth $45 to $50 million, especially super long term, because this season, $1 million? Absolutely not, JB. In this season, even though for a lot of it he's been very good, he's already thrown more interceptions this year than he did last year, plus the 3 lost fumble game against the Packers. 3 of his turnovers have been returned for touchdowns. And you look at the last 5 games. The last 5 games, Jared Goff as a whole has accounted for 7 touchdowns and 8 turnovers, including a pick 6 against the Raiders. He wasn't really that good in that game. And furthermore, in the last 5 games, you could argue that Jared Goff as a whole was pretty piss poor in 4 of them. And even in the Chargers game, in which he was very, very good, he got a lot of support from the run game against the Chargers run defense that often doesn't allow big running performances, but they just so happen to against the Lions, behind that offensive line, behind the best backfield in the NFL. So the point is that for a lot of these games, Jared Goff has had everything around him perfectly. Gibbs, Montgomery, that offensive line, and he still hasn't played very well. I get it that this last game against the Packers, the offensive line didn't have their best day, but that's very, very rare for a Detroit Lions offensive line. So Jared Goff, if it's up to me, he maybe plays the next year out, and he's out. Jared Goff, there are some scenarios in which he can win me back over. If he finishes the season strong, fine. If he performs very, very well in the playoffs, great. But his stock, I think, amongst a lot of Lions fans was at its apex when he went into Tampa Bay and played that phenomenal game with no run support.
And their secondary looks very suspect. especially the last month of the season.
Yes.
Yeah, and some of these comments, Benji to go. Shout out to you, Benji. By the way, appreciate you. He says, this is a realization when Goff starts turning the ball over and showing his deep ball consistently. People got to stop lying to themselves, especially now that you're seeing the negative take place. And this one, I think Pistons fan nailed this one, and I want to find his comment because it really was true. Let me find this one. Pistons fan, where is it? Because he had a great point too. Let's see. I lost it. But essentially, he was saying you either have to have one or the other, meaning you have to have mobility. Goff doesn't have mobility, but if you don't have mobility, then you rely on his arm talent, which he's not. He doesn't have elite arm talent. So he's kind of. We know what Goff is. You protect him. You got a damn good offensive coordinator that trusts him and still instills confidence in him. And then you get him weapons. Things work out. That's great. And by the way, Goff is still better than half the league. I believe he's a top 15 at the very minimum quarterback in the National Football League, which is hard to come by. There's a lot of teams that would take off right now, but that doesn't mean you settle for it. And I think that's why Brad hasn't signed him to an extension yet, which I think is very smart. You haven't committed to something you may regret. He's allowing Goff to kind of, I don't want to say a trial because it's kind of unfair because he's played really well, but this has kind of been a period where he was a throw-in in the package from LA. He was stability at the quarterback position, Broder, but I don't think that, it doesn't mean that Brad won't try and upgrade. You know, is that fair? He'll never, we got Goff, we don't need a quarterback. I still think that's a very possible situation.
Definitely. I think the key is what Jared Goff thinks of himself. And although I have to correct or clarify to Flannel real quick, although I'm a Jared Goff supporter, I tend to say a lot of positive things. I've never advocated for him to get that $45-50 million, not because he hasn't necessarily played not that he doesn't deserve it based on some of the other contracts, but for all the things that I defend him for. Why is it so bad that he needs an offensive line and needs a running back? But so he's got to realize, basically what I'm trying to say is he's got to realize he does need those things around him to be the best version of himself.
Right.
So he can't, just go try to get the bag and expect the league's best offensive line to be built or a top running back room to be there around him or all the best weapons. He's got to realize maybe I'm a $35-40 million. Maybe I am a $45 million guy, but I need to take 37-38 so that we can pay Penei Sewell and Jonah Jackson or Jonah Jackson's replacement or Taylor Decker's replacement. He needs to know that he's at his best in the play action when he gets that time. So he may need to settle for a little bit less.
Well, and for the record, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Jeff.
That's okay.
I want to make it very clear that when I say what I'm saying about Jared Goff, it's not just in a vacuum. It's in the prism of this guy might command a $45 million a year long-term contract. He might command a $50 million a year long-term contract. In the way that he's played in these last 5 games, it's not just 2 bad games. It's I would say 4 bad games and then the Chargers game, but when you count it out as a whole, 7 touchdowns, 8 turnovers responsible for, and the Lions could have very well been 0-5 in those games. And Jared Goff does get credit for bringing them back against the Bears from the hole that he had a big part in digging. That's all true. That's the prism I'm talking about. I don't think this man will get any better if he takes up more of the team's salary cap and maybe you can't pay another guy. That's more of my point. I'm not saying that Jared Goff is awful or anything like that. I'm just saying that Hendon Hooker, at least on a couple years of a rookie deal, would be cheaper. I mean, significantly cheaper.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that go into it. For example, Jared, he can't afford to make the same mistakes as a guy like Jalen Hurts. Yeah. Because if Jalen Hurts turns the ball over, you got that Eagles defense trotting out on the field, and they're going to get the ball back. Brock Purdy, he turns the ball over, which rarely happens. But if he does, that 49ers defense, they're going to get the ball back. Jared, the room for error is very small with him because he can't make mistakes, which is unfair. Quarterback's going to make mistakes. But at the same time, that's really his job. He just can't turn the ball over. Yeah. Like, I'm not expecting Jared to throw for 400 yards. I'm not expecting him to throw for 4 touchdowns. That's not what my expectations, but I think why people are getting frustrated now, Broder, is
great point.
It's just the turnovers, which is something that ruined Jared in LA, and it's only a 2-game stretch, but if it continues and we're getting to the end of the season, yeah, it is a real issue.
You got to hang on to the football.
You got to.
You can't throw 3 interceptions or fumble the ball 3 times, really, in multiple game stretch. The only thing that maybe keeps him a little closer to you is the fact that when he does play bad, the Lions play bad. It sort of shows his worth to the team, but I think you're right. There's a lot that falls on that defense and the pressure put on
For
him.
example, like Neil Rule, and this is why it's funny to me when he brings up he'd rather have Goff over Allen or Goff over Herbert. Do you think, and keep it 100 with me, brother, do you think Goff could have did what Josh Allen just did in Philly in that inclement weather with no run game?
No.
And that's not a I'm just being real here. Like Josh Allen, he led the team in rushing touchdowns, and zipped it in terrible weather in Philly.
Yeah.
If you're talking big picture, you want to win a Super Bowl. That's what you have to think about. Like, do you have confidence in Goff to go on the road to Philly?
It's odd. I think about.
You get what I'm saying?
Would I rather have Josh Allen behind on this Lions team, on this Lions offense? I don't know if I would. Just in terms of Jared Goff, normally he doesn't turn the ball over. Like, he's proven to me in the last 20, 25 games that he's not a turnover-prone quarterback as much as he's shown that in the last 2 games. Josh Allen, I worry about, even in the most scripted offense, he turns the ball over a lot. I worry about that. This is all hypothetical.
And that's fair. And
Josh Allen's talented.
And that's fair. If you want to say, well, Josh turns the ball over too much, I honestly won't even argue with you.
Yeah.
And that's why, the Herbert thing is ridiculous because he doesn't turn the ball over and he throws for high.
And Josh Allen also accounts for 40 touchdowns a season in his sleep.
Yeah. So it is what it is. Regardless, I just think it's great for Hendon to get out there and now you could see him in practice, which is different. You don't just have to watch him throwing the football. He's in there. He's running plays. He's at least watching the offense. He's getting to talk to the coaching staff while they're practicing. It's way, way better. All right, let's go to break. When we come back, we'll talk about Ben Johnson because, that's happening. Carolina Panthers fire Frank Reich through 11 games. We'll get our thoughts on it. They talked to Ben last offseason. Is it realistic? You'll get our thoughts on that when we come back. But first, I got to tell you about our friends from Planet Fitness because, guys, Planet Fitness is the home of the judgment-free zone where anybody, and I mean anybody, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. At Planet Fitness, you'll experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, full-body workout in just 30 minutes, and all memberships include, of course, fitness training. You'll get all this for just $10 a month, no commitment, no matter where you are. There's a Planet Fitness close by, and there are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Come hang with the Woodward Sports crew all throughout football season on Saturdays and Sundays to join our college football and Detroit Lions live watch parties.
Inside the 5, caught, end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions!
With money on the line, featuring different special guests and surprises. Start times will vary depending on the game. Only on our Woodward Sports YouTube channel.
For over 60 years, Fairway Pack & Co. has provided Michigan's finest restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef, Wagyu beef, and dry-aged beef. Experience the Fairway difference for yourself today. You can visit the steak shop in Grosse Pointe Woods for grab-and-go steaks, or you can order online at fairwaypacking.com. Bless you.
Thank you.
We're back. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thanks for joining the show. If you could do us a favor, hit the like button. We're almost at 100 likes, 14 roughly away. So, again, it helps us, gets the stream out there, and it allows us to set the tone at the network on a Tuesday. So we appreciate you. I want to get into this Ben Johnson to Carolina stuff, and I just want to shut this down. I do. Because, and I don't even know Ben, but I'm going to speak on his behalf like I know Ben. And this is why it's frustrating to me. Because who in their right mind would want this job? Like, seriously. I'm listening. I'm open to discussion with this. Who in their right mind would want this job? David Tepper, one of the most impatient, arguably one of the worst owners in the National Football League. It's going to have to be somebody with no options. You got Greg Olson. You got Greg Olson out here saying, if I was offered, I'd take the job. Yeah, you would, Greg Olson, because you have no options.
Sam Laporta.
That would be why Greg Olson takes that job. This ain't it. This job ain't it for any up-and-coming coordinator or former coach, head coach, with options. You're going to have to convince somebody to relocate their family, like Deuce Staley did, and got fired. Relocate their family, potentially children, enroll them in a new school, to not even know if you're going to last 11 games. That's where you're at with the Carolina Panthers. A bag is a bag, don't get me wrong. Hey, I'm all for people getting bags. But really, is it that worth it? Because you still get paid. So, I can't complain about the money. But still, it's stupidity to take this job. No first-round pick this year. Lack of talent. Impatient ownership issues. GM issues, because he signed Miles Sanders to one of the worst running back contracts in the league. And a young quarterback with no confidence. No confidence. So whoever's hired, you're going to have to fix it all. Fix it all. And if you can't, you get fired. You just saw that on display with Frank Reich. He was probably promised patience and was fired through 11 games, even with a quarterback that he didn't even want. He didn't even want. And I'm not saying like Bryce is some trash quarterback, because a lot of people would have taken him number 1 overall, but he was clear that Frank Reich wanted C.J. Stroud. Very clear. He didn't get him. Well, see you later, Frank Reich, through 11 games. You think about the jobs that are going to be open this year. Chargers, Bills, I think, Bears, Saints, because I think the Saints will get a new head coach, and potentially more. I think Adam Schefter said it could go up to 7 jobs available this offseason. 7, 6, 7, whatever the number is. You're going to choose Carolina, especially if you're a coordinator that has options. I believe Ben Johnson will stay in Detroit unless there is a job that he absolutely loves and it opens up. Because that's the benefit when you're good at any line of work. If you're good at what you do, you have options. And that's the benefit for a guy like Ben Johnson. He has options. He has leverage. And he can dictate where he wants to go. He interviewed for a couple of jobs last year. He can sit it out. He can come back to Detroit for another year. And this offense will be just fine. Will they be number 1 in the National Football League? Doesn't matter. They could be top 5. He'll still have job openings. He's one of the hottest names in the NFL. So for people that are worried about him leaving for Carolina, I think it's a no-go. I think Ben knows that too, because he already interviewed for the job. So he might already got a feel for the Carolina Panthers. There's no way in hell Ben's going to relocate his family and his children to go to a dysfunctional organization that has no promise for him to even keep his job through 1 year. It's just not happening.
The Carolina Panthers right now are an absolute cesspool, a dumpster fire, and even despite having a rookie number 1 overall pick quarterback, they are as hopeless of a situation as there is in the NFL right now. And if you want to go coach them right now, be my guest. I mean, you saw what happened to Frank Reich. You saw what happened to other members of the coaching staff, including Deuce Staley.
McCown and Deuce Staley.
I know,
cleared out every type of offensive mind in there.
After 11 games, and here's the other reality right now, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is true. I'm almost already convinced that Bryce Young is ruined, that he was never really that good of an NFL prospect to begin with. And I know it's easy to say now because I'm somebody who was very high on him in college, but what does Bryce Young really do at a dynamic rate? You look at him out there, he's way too small. He's not as mobile as you'd ideally like to be, being that size. He doesn't have a particularly strong arm. I mean, he has an arm, but it was more about, Bryce Young, he plays the quarterback position like a point guard. He gets his weapons involved and they make plays. And it's like, so you take a 5'9" guy who's kind of like your point guard QB and as the number 1 overall pick. I don't like that, because the reality is C.J. Stroud has obviously shown a ton more than Bryce Young. C.J. Stroud is the rookie of the year. Anthony Richardson, when he was healthy, the only question about him, I think, is maybe throwing the football accurately when he comes back. But even he
had a couple throws where like, whew.
Yes, and obviously his health. But he showed some promise. He showed some promise both as a passer and as a dynamic runner. Like, he showed me that he could even be maybe a Cam Newton style runner, although he needs to avoid taking hits because it already cost him his rookie year. Will Levis has shown a lot more than Bryce Young to me. He had that 4 touchdown game in his debut, and when you saw them on the same field as each other in the last game, Will Levis is bigger. He's got a better arm. Obviously, the Titans have a little bit better of a supporting cast than the Panthers, but still, to me, Will Levis looks better. And you know what's even more indicting? The Carolina Panthers, they traded away their best weapon, DJ Moore, so that they could have the ability to draft Bryce Young at number 1 overall. So they don't even have a first-round pick to be hopeful of. And by the way, the reason why I mentioned the Bears, and a lot of people might find this crazy, but I don't care because it's reality, Tyson Bagent has shown more to me as a rookie than Bryce Young.
Okay.
Undrafted Tyson Bagent.
I can't.
Has shown me more. Come on.
You took it there.
I did
now
take
we're
it
going to
there.
Bryce Young. I think that's unfair to say that you're already out on Bryce through 60% of a season.
All right.
Because you talk about Tyson Bagent. Name me his weapons.
I mean, DJ Moore,
Cole Kmet,
Darnell Mooney. But to be fair,
no, but hold on. You contradicted.
Adam Thielen.
You contradicted your own point because you said earlier he'd be a point guard, getting his weapons involved. Yeah, weapons like Jonathan Mingo, Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, who's fine, but
Ian
he's not.
Thomas, don't forget about him now.
Yeah, right.
Tommy Trimble.
But that's my problem with the whole firing Frank Reich is with Bryce Young, like the dude. Miles Sanders, he doesn't have Derrick Henry or DeAndre Hopkins. I'll tell you that.
I understand.
With Will Levis, so I don't want to say he's some bum. I mean, I liked Bryce before the draft. I still like him. I don't want to completely. I don't want to go there yet. I get what you're saying, but I'm not going to go there yet. C.J. Stroud has been incredible. I don't want to take anything away from him. He's got weapons, but even then, he's played really well. So I'm not even trying to discount what he's done. But yeah, I'm still going to give Bryce Young some time. Get him an actual head coach and a supporting cast, then we'll see. Then I'll figure it out.
And that's fine. I'm just saying that when you're a number 1 overall pick,
Trevor Lawrence.
It's the same issue that I have with like Baker Mayfield ever being a number 1 overall pick. They are not number 1 overall pick talents. They are guys who are accurate, guys who are point guard type quarterbacks, not guys who have any really dynamic skill set. And by the way, they're both small, and Bryce Young is even significantly smaller than Baker Mayfield. I know that Spencer Raxter from Big D Energy and the Woodward Heavyweights always jokes that Bryce Young is 5'2". He's probably not that far off because Bryce Young looks like a baby out there. And I'm not trying to be a dick. It's just when you don't do anything well, when you're not that mobile, when you don't have the weapons around you, you are going to look terrible. And right now, I don't see a pathway for the Carolina Panthers situation improving. That has a lot to do with it, by the way.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, the Carolina Panthers, they don't even have a first-round pick.
That's
now, insane.
That's why I think that whoever the head coach is, there's a GM issue. Like,
yes.
Look at what he's drafted. And that's why the whole thing, it's kind of like when I looked at Trevor Lawrence with Urban Meyer, I was like, that's a terrible situation. Give it time. And he looked awful his rookie year. But now he looks fine. So he got Doug Peterson, though. Like a head coach who's won a Super Bowl. He's coached quarterbacks that have done pretty well in this league. So I'm willing to give it time. Where are you at, Broder, with the whole Ben Johnson stuff of him departing?
Yeah, he's not going to Carolina.
Okay.
And I don't want to rule out the ability or the chance that he comes back to Detroit. That's still not out of the question, but I think there'll be enough jobs open this offseason where he'll find a place that fits him right. He's got to look for the situation has to be right, and he being at the top, being likely the top choice of teams around the NFL, he'll have his choice of where to go. It's hard to look past that Bears situation. I would hate to see him stay in the NFC North, but if you're going into a situation where you can sort of rebuild, and again, this is if Eberflus is fired, which hasn't happened yet, you get 2 top 5 picks, definitely top 10. You have a chance to get whichever quarterback you want, possibly pair him with Marvin Harrison, DJ Moore. You still got weapons on this team. They're a budding defense. I don't know. There'll be some options for him.
If I'm Ben Johnson, it's hard to not to look at 2 jobs that I think would be perfect for him. The Chargers job, which Kellen Moore, we'll see. I think they should fire Staley and just let Kellen Moore coach the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Figure out if he's good or not.
Yeah.
The Chargers job, but we'll see what happens with that. The other job, the Bills.
Yeah.
Like that job, how do you not take that job if you're Ben Johnson?
One thing missing is the offensive mind.
Exactly. And you saw what he looked like, Josh Allen looked like with Brian Dable. I just think if you're Ben, and you might be right, he might want to go coach and might be open to coaching not only in the NFC North, but coaching a young rookie quarterback. I just think it fits well with what Ben does. He gets to go with a guy who's been in the league for a while. He's already like Jared Goff, for example, has already been in the league, and he could just fix some of those issues. But we'll see. If I'm Ben, man, you got options. I think the Bills are going to fire their head coach. Chargers will fire their head coach. There'll be better jobs in Carolina. It's an awful job. So all that to say he ain't going nowhere. Lucas, you with me on this?
Listen,
he ain't going to Carolina.
No, and I'm with you. I think Ben Johnson's only really been an offensive coordinator in the NFL for a season and a half at this point. And at the end of this season, he won't even be an offensive coordinator for 2 years. So it's not outlandish to think that Ben Johnson might not be ready. Like, he might himself not think that he's ready to be a head coach. And if he sees that, all right, maybe I see how this defense is doing in Detroit right now, and if we're still not winning games and I'm having this offense at this level, maybe I need to wait a little bit more. Maybe I need some more time, and maybe I still need to learn. At the end of the day, that's fine, because there will probably be better opportunities that open up in this season or two. Because right now, the coaching opportunities, like to your point, Los Angeles, New England, Chicago, Carolina, I'm sure there'll be a couple more that open up. I could see maybe Tennessee possibly, but I don't think they'll move off of Vrabel just yet. Maybe Tampa. But Tampa would be a good place for him. But yeah. I just don't know. I just don't think the timing's right now for Ben Johnson to leave. I personally think that Ben Johnson's going to stay another year.
Wow.
I don't think you're off base with that, because he's got leverage, he got options, he can stay, come back another year.
The man's like 35 years old, and I understand that's the desirable thing in the NFL right now. But when you have a guy like Ben Johnson who's having success, who's building up a resume, what is it really going to hurt him to stay another year as well? It's only going to make him look better, because they're going to keep most of the pieces around him, and they're just going to add more talent on offense through the offseason and the draft.
Yeah, I don't see this offense significantly regressing. Because that's always the thing with certain OCs. It's like, you better take your job now, because if your offense looks top 15 next year, the same opportunities might not be there. I think, Ben, that this offense will always be a top 5 offense. I think it'll just naturally get better. There's a lot of young players on this team that's going to organically get better together. What about you, JB? The whole Ben Johnson stuff, where are you at?
I honestly don't think he's leaving. I think he still has unfinished business here, that if the Lions don't pull it out this season, then he wants to come back and make sure that he does get the job done. I know from last night on Woodward Nights, Booner was talking about there's going to be at least 10 jobs open right now, and I can honestly see that. Hell, the entire NFC South right now, you can just pick and choose at that right there. As Lucas said, Tampa looks enticing. Chargers, maybe, but unless there's actually a...
What are you doing like that?
Unless there's actually a dream job that opens up for him, then I don't see him, taking off and leaving. Buffalo, maybe, but like I said, I just think he has unfinished business here. As Lucas said, with the young talent that's going to grow together, it's a lot to promise for a head coach down the line. So I think he stays.
Peter says we need to protect the loss of Tanner Eggstrand. Yeah, he's the next OC, I believe, unless Ben takes him, but he should be next up in line. IB3 says, it's my birthday today. Can I get a shout out? Love the show. Listen and watch every day. Go Lions. IB3, happy birthday, brother. Appreciate you for joining the show, man. Hope you have a good day.
Did you see what they said on McAfee's show yesterday, too?
No.
So, and I'll pull it up real quick, because I was going to use it for 9:40, but it's actually just perfect time. He said that Aaron Glenn is also probably going to get a lot of calls this offseason. So when you guys see that, he says Brian Johnson, I can't think of who Brian Johnson is the OC of right now. I think maybe
Eagles.
The Eagles. So he said Ben Johnson and Brian Johnson going to get a lot of calls, but he also said Dan Quinn, who I think should have been a head coach last year. He's probably a better coach than Mike McCarthy in Dallas right now, but that's besides the point. Him and Aaron Glenn will both be getting calls as well. So when you hear that Aaron Glenn could be getting calls, what do you think of that?
I don't hate it. I think Aaron Glenn possesses some of those qualities you look for in a head coach, like leadership, and I get all that. We'll see. I don't know with Aaron Glenn. I can see it. I just think, sometimes they do. We'll see. I just think they do Aaron Glenn dirty, if I'm being real. If I'm going to keep it 100. I think they just use him for an interview and they get him out of there. Like, it's actually disrespectful. It's the Rooney Rule thing. Like, I don't see him getting a job. But I think he possesses a lot of qualities to earn a job. Mm-hmm. Like, I think he could be the like a CEO type of guy. Like a Sean McDermott's had somewhat of success, and although he's going to get fired probably this year, I could see Aaron Glenn assembling a pretty good staff. I could see all that. It's not the route I'd go. I'm always for young, innovative offensive coordinators, but hey, I can see it. But yeah, if I'm keeping it honest with you, it's all BS to get that man an interview. That's how I feel. But regardless, let's go to break. When we come back, we'll play pretenders versus contenders. We'll go through AFC teams, NFC teams, and we'll say a pretender or contender. We're going to keep it 100 today, and the Lions are on that list. So see where we go with that. We'll see if Matt Broder wants to stick around. You can help us decide if they're contenders or pretenders, or he has to get out of here because he's a busy man. Regardless, let's go to break here. First, though, we got to hear about our friends from Guardian Alarm.
Guardian Alarm. All right. Shoot, I had the wrong read pulled up again. I'm slipping today. I am 100% slipping today, but it's a new year. Let Guardian Alarm offer you. It's definitely past the new year. So just let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people have been proven to care. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT. That's 1-800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm, your local security experts.
Come to Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Come hang with the Woodward Sports crew all throughout football season on Saturdays and Sundays to join our college football and Detroit Lions live watch parties.
Inside the 5, caught, end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions!
With money on the line, featuring different special guests and surprises. Start times will vary depending on the game. Only on our Woodward Sports YouTube channel.
Glorious!
Just in time for football, Glorious Cannabis is dropping their new ice water bubble hash infused pre-roll called Honolulu Blue. It smells so good, it's like the whiff of the first playoff win in 31 years. It's a gassy, aggressive strain named in honor of our Detroit football team. And if you haven't had one of these ice water pre-rolls, then what are you waiting
doing?
for? You can find them at a Dispo dispensary near you for 25% off. Use code word Woodward Glorious or check them out online today at gloriouscanna.com.
Glorious!
Let's do it. Pretenders versus contenders. And this is the first time, second time we've done this season. And I want to get an updated thought on some of these teams. I took 4 teams from the AFC, 4 teams from the NFC, and we're going to get everyone in the room's opinion. Are they pretenders or are they contenders? It's very simple. We'll start in the AFC. Okay? First team I'm going off of right now, the Baltimore Ravens. Pretenders or contenders. And now, by the way, how you define pretender or contender, I want people to understand this. Just because you think a team is a pretender doesn't mean there's no way, no how they could win a title. It's just you're leaning on the side of good team in the regular season. They'll probably fall short in the playoffs. That's how I think of a pretender. Contender is a team that can legitimately contend for a Super Bowl and or win a Super Bowl. Sam Flannel, go ahead. Baltimore Ravens, where are you at?
The Baltimore Ravens are a pretender, and it's for one simple reason. I do not trust playoff Lamar Jackson as far as I can throw him. I get it. He's having a good year, but he also was an MVP in 2019, got the Ravens the number 1 seed, and then stunk it up in the playoffs. And he has never once had a good playoff game. His playoff career statistics are 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and the Ravens are 1-3 in playoff games that he started. Even more damning, Tyler Huntley played a better playoff game last year against the Cincinnati Bengals, besides for that Superman fumble that was returned for a touchdown by Sam Hubbard. But amongst all that, he had a better playoff game last year than Lamar Jackson has ever had. And for some reason, I don't think Lamar Jackson gets criticized enough for that. Lamar Jackson is to playoff quarterbacks what you guys think that Dak Prescott and Aaron Rodgers are. Dak Prescott and Aaron Rodgers actually have good playoff numbers, and Aaron Rodgers has won a Super Bowl and had many great playoff performances, and Dak Prescott even had a great playoff performance as recent as last season. Lamar Jackson, I do not trust playoff Lamar, so for me, they are pretenders.
I'm going to go with contenders. I think the Ravens are contenders, and I'll tell you why. Sam, I can't argue his playoffs, or lack thereof, playoff success. I can't argue that. I can't argue his statistics. What I can't argue is that defense. That defense is elite. And the AFC, to me, although there are teams like, the Dolphins, Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens, Jacksonville Jaguars, I think this defense, especially with the teams we're going up against, there's not a far and away better team than them in the AFC. And I think this defense will keep Lamar in games. And I think we'll see this is the best cast of weapons he's had so far this season. And I do believe dude, it come postseason where defense, talk about the linebacker core too, Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen, the best duo in the National Football League.
Kyle Hamilton playing like a fucking with his head cut off.
Yes,
Pretty
besides
much.
Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, I think that defense is a problem, Lucas. They got Gus Bus, who the red zone conversions are off the charts with that man. I think as long as Lamar, doesn't lose them games, if he could just keep them afloat, I think they could win some playoff games. And hell, I think there's a chance they can even reach the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I do.
Especially when you look at like the Chiefs. This is by far the Chiefs' worst looking year so far. The Jaguars, I think they're going to start heating up, but you obviously see that they're not an invincible team either. Miami Dolphins, if they have to go on the road in the playoffs, I'm sorry, I just don't trust them. I still think the Dolphins, I said they're going to win the AFC East. They're obviously going to do it. Obviously, there's nothing stopping it right now. But when they got to go on the road and play a physical team, that's a team that gets smacked in the mouth a lot of the times. And Baltimore on offense, they have a lot of creative ways to get a lot of dynamic players the ball. Zay Flowers, he took a 37-yard rush to the house this week, and I think he's a very capable receiver. I know he's a rookie, but he's going to be a guy that's making plays for him in the postseason. Keaton Mitchell's starting to come alive. They did lose Mark Andrews, but at the end of the day, this team is still insulated around Lamar so he can produce at a high level. When you add on that defense, to Jeff's point, I think just with how they're looking, their chemistry, they know their identity. John Harbaugh has been in a Super Bowl before, and I just think it's going to be really hard for them to fall to the other teams in the AFC. It's more so their path. I think it's very set up for them in December and in January.
Especially if they get, like you said, home field advantage, like in Baltimore. They win the AFC. We'll see. JB, where are you at with the Ravens? Pretenders or contenders?
I think for the Ravens, I gotta go with contenders. I just feel like, as Sam has said, over the past couple of years, playoff Lamar, he's been a disappointment. But I think finally he's matured enough and has, as Jeff said, the proper team and everyone around him as lately. I know the loss of Mark Andrews is going to hurt a little bit, but I think Isaiah Likely just slides right into that tight end spot.
He's a dynamic player.
And nothing changes more from that. So I'm going with contenders for the Ravens.
What about the Kansas City Chiefs? We'll go there. Pretenders or contenders? Sam Flannel, tell me why they're contenders.
They're definitely contenders because here's the reality. I know that their offense hasn't looked as good as years past, but here's the thing. When you're the Kansas City Chiefs, when you're still 8-3, when you have your pedigree, you have to always give them the benefit of the doubt because despite what Patrick Mahomes has done, a lot of people say that he's regressed a little bit. He's still having a good year. It's still Patrick Mahomes. It's still Andy Reid. It's still Travis Kelce. And this season, the Kansas City Chiefs have a top 3 scoring defense, and Rashee Rice looks like he's emerging. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs are contenders, and it's going to be the Arrowhead Invitational again for the 6th year in a row.
Oh my God,
that's facts. He's never played a road playoff game in his life.
Invitational.
He's never played a road playoff game in his life.
You better hope the Chiefs lock up the AFC.
They will.
Imagine going to Baltimore, playing that defense.
And when Lamar Jackson will throw 0 touchdowns, 2 picks like he always does. But nobody ever criticizes him. If you criticize Lamar Jackson, you don't know ball, right?
I'll tell you one thing. Don't go down 14-0 to the Ravens.
They'll be fine.
Okay.
Oh, well, Lamar will be able to run it. But yeah, they're not going to go down 14-0.
So contender, you know what, Sam? I'll give you a bone here. I'll go contenders. Just because of 3 reasons. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. Like, I have to, because of what they've done, I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. But, Lucas, this is the most or the least I've been confident with saying that through Mahomes' tenure here.
I mean, the Chiefs for Chiefs Sanders are suspect right now, but when you put it in just everyday NFL teams, they're set up for success. They have a great defense. They have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid. The Chiefs are going to be contenders as long as Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback for him. But I just don't think to years prior where it's like a lock for a Super Bowl. I think a team like Baltimore, possibly Jacksonville, if they keep rolling and Josh Allen keeps playing the way that he is, they're going to have some trouble in the playoffs. But the Chiefs are absolutely contenders.
You think my Jags beating them to go to the AFC Championship game? It's still alive.
It's still alive, man. It's still very much alive. Trevor Lawrence, he's threw for, I don't know if it was career high, but at least his second career high in passing yards. Calvin Ridley's really starting to get going down there. Travis Etienne was kind of held in neutral, and they still beat a good Houston Texans team. So I got a lot of faith in the Jags, but I have a lot more faith in Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Reid because just the past 2-3 seasons.
Yeah, no doubt. JB, where are you at with the Chiefs? Pretenders or contenders?
I gotta say contenders once again, but as Lucas said, this is a very suspect team right now. There is not really a wide receiver one that you can sit here and count on throughout the entire game, but as long as you have Patrick Mahomes and a Travis Kelce on your side, that's the only thing that matters. This team lives and dies by Patrick Mahomes, so As long as he's still 100% healthy, they're contenders.
Jacksonville Jaguars, pretenders or contenders? Sam Flannel?
I am going to go with pretenders for the Jacksonville Jaguars for a few reasons. For one, they have a bottom 5 pass defense in the NFL by the numbers, and their offense, they're not top 10 in any major statistical category. And also, I like Trevor Lawrence as a prospect, but I think this year he has shown that he is closer to not being a top 10 quarterback than he is to being a top 5 quarterback. And oh, by the way, Lucas, I know we fundamentally disagree on this. I don't trust playoff Trevor Lawrence because if the Chargers were able to deliver more of a kill shot last year, Jacksonville might have lost that game 49-14 or something like that.
That was his first playoffs
I understand that, but I don't like how he gets credit for having one of the worst first halves you've ever seen a quarterback have at any level at playoffs or regular season, and then because the Chargers couldn't kill him, it was like, oh my God, Trevor Lawrence has such resolve. I can't. It burns my soul, that logic, and I'm not saying that's.
I mean, he also played very well against the Chiefs in that second round.
He was all right.
That's a game the Chiefs should have blown the Jaguars out in.
Yeah, they were in that game till the end.
But Trevor Lawrence, I mean, like I said,
you could see it.
He's
not even that. You can look at
year.
the stat sheet, but if you look at the eye test, obviously against the Jaguars, they threw 5 picks in the first half. But just looking at the eye test, like Trevor Lawrence is going to be a very, very good quarterback in the NFL. So it's way too early to write off and say playoff Trevor Lawrence is washed or anything like that. It's way too early.
I didn't say washed. I'm saying that right now, he didn't show me anything from last year's playoffs. Some people think that he did. I don't think he did.
Okay. Well, hey, at least for me, and given my definition of pretenders or contenders, I have the Jags in the AFC title game, but technically I don't see a situation of them making it to the Super Bowl and or potentially winning. So I'm going to go pretender, but they're still a really good team. Like I think they're a team that, like the Chiefs, for example, like I wouldn't want to play the Jags in the postseason. I wouldn't, because Josh Allen's playing like a dude right now. He's playing like a defensive player of the year contender. So they'll be a tough out in the playoffs, but I don't think they'll make a Super Bowl and or win one. So I'm going to go with pretender.
Yeah, I'm in lockstep with you. I think Jags are on very similar pace as the Detroit Lions and Miami Dolphins. They're not quite there yet, but give them a year or two, let them add another piece in the secondary on the offensive line, and they'll be there. But yeah, they're like you said, possibly they can make a nice run, but I don't see them winning the Super Bowl by any means.
What about you, JB? Jacksonville Jaguars, pretenders, contenders?
I am right along with all you guys. They're close. They're really close, and I really like Trevor Lawrence and his Jags team, but I gotta go with pretenders on this one as well. They're gonna get there. It's gonna take some time.
Miami Dolphins, pretenders or contenders? Then we'll go to break. We'll get to the NFC teams: Lions, Cowboys, Eagles, 49ers. But we'll stick last AFC team. I have Miami Dolphins, pretenders or contenders? Sam Flannel.
I am going to go with pretenders because even though Jalen Ramsey is back, and that is a big effing deal, I still have some questions about their defense, and I certainly have questions about Tua Tagovailoa going on the road against a good team and winning a playoff game, and I do not think they will get the number 1 seed. So the second I predict that the first time that they have to go on the road in these playoffs, hell, they might not even get to that point, they will lose and score like 14 or 17 points because that's what Tua Tagovailoa always does. Give me pretenders for the Miami Dolphins.
I think that defense is starting to kind of come together a little bit with Jalen Ramsey now being active.
He's lost Jalen Phillips, though.
That's
Jalen
huge,
Phillips,
yeah.
and that was an Achilles injury, I believe it is, which is a tough loss. I'm going to go with pretenders, though, just because of their record on the road and record outside of, although they did win in New York, they beat the Jets. Like, okay, cool. Awesome.
With Tim Boyle throwing a fucking pick six on a Hail Mary. That had a lot to do with
Javon Holland, though, shout out.
But I'm going to lean, like, you talk about going on the road in the AFC in the playoffs. I don't think they win. So I'm going to go pretenders for the Dolphins.
Yeah, and kind of the same reason with the Jaguars. I think they're a year away, and same thing with the Jags is in the playoffs, man, you got to be a physical team. You can't be a team that's not the Miami play calling wise is very physical, but as far as like when they get smacked in the mouth and in the trenches, man, they don't really have a response. Tua, he's one of those guys that he has the quickest release in the NFL. So if he has to hang on to the ball, kind of extend plays, that's where he starts making mistakes and turnovers. And when you go up against a Baltimore, against a Kansas City, that's where I think they're going to meet their match, and it's just they're going to be out physical and outmatched in every type of way.
What about you, JB? Where are you at Miami Dolphins? Pretenders, contenders?
Dude, this sucks because I really like this team, man. And I really like this team, and I want to say contenders, but as Lucas has said before, I'm going to have to lean pretenders on this one just because once they actually get into some trouble right there on the field, you kind of see them revert back to their old ways, and it's just like Tua doesn't know what he's doing out there at times. But I really like this team, and I want to say contenders, but I got to go with pretenders as of right now. They're not going to make it that far if they do in the playoffs.
There you have it. There's the AFC. We'll go to break. We come back. We'll talk about the NFC. We'll get to our top 10 Tuesday at 9:30. And then we'll talk a little Patrick Kane today because the people are still rocking about it. And I do want to bring it up today. I don't want to wait till tomorrow. More in-depth analysis from Darren McCarty. He'll give his perspective on it 11-1. So what'd you say?
He's going to be on one today.
Yeah, he will be. And that's the man with the voice of reason, especially during these times. But let's go to break. We come back. We'll cover the rest of the NFC teams. But first, I got to tell you about our friends from Big Boy. Wintertime in Detroit, it's always better with comfort foods from Big Boy. Try their Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl. How about breakfast? The stuffed potato pancakes are back. The classic lumberjack Santa Fe Garden, and also the new apple pie hotcakes that are also too good to miss. Top it all off with a new gingerbread shake for dessert. Stop by your local Big Boy today.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Calling all landscapers. This is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like a landscape like a legend? How about a bad boy zero turn? And even a chainsaw. And even a weed whipper. Whether you landscape for your job or landscape for fun, get all your equipment from Outdoor Equip Co., the official equipment provider of Woodward Sports. Michigan grown, family owned. OutdoorEquipCo.com.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
Let's talk about Outdoor Equipment Company, official equipment provider of Woodward Sports. Michigan grown, family owned. Bad boy mowers, tractors, steel handhelds, and even weed whippers. Liberty trailers, Generac generators, Snow X plows, and salters. Outdoor Equipment Company has it all. Buy it, rent it, 0% financing, delivery to your doorstep. Go to their website at OutdoorEquipCo.com. Check them out.
We're back. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Let's get to pretenders versus contenders. We just went through the AFC, went through 5 teams. Let's start with the NFC, though. Philadelphia Eagles, pretenders or contenders? And listen, the Eagles, I'll say this. That secondary is suspect, but they added Kevin Byard. He's been really good. I still think there's question marks with the secondary. But regardless, Sam Flannel, what do you got for us? Pretenders or contenders?
I mean, in the interest of going quickly, they're the defending NFC champions, and they're 10-1. Jalen Hurts is playing great. DeAndre Swift is having a resurgent season. A.J. Brown in that defensive line. They're absolute contenders.
Yeah, I'll go contenders. I'll give the Eagles that. They're the best team in the National Football League right now, despite some question marks. You can't deny it. They're contenders.
Contenders. Enough said. Don't need to spend much more time on it.
All right, JB. JB's like pretenders.
No, contenders.
The San Francisco 49ers, this is an easy one. They're contenders.
Yep.
Like, there's no this team. Although the Eagles are the best team right now, man, the 49ers, even with more losses, they have more talent.
Record-wise, yes, the Eagles look like the best team. The San Francisco 49ers are the best team in football. I don't care.
They're the best constructed team. Yeah. Like, they have talent everywhere. Hall of Famers everywhere. It's crazy. It's easy contenders. I think we all agree with that one.
Of course they're contenders.
All right, now this is where it gets interesting. Detroit Lions. Pretenders or contenders? Sam Flannel, take it away.
The Detroit Lions are pretenders. It does not give me any pleasure in saying this, but here's the reality. In the last 5 games, Jared Goff has not looked like a Super Bowl level quarterback. I don't think he ever was. He's kind of turned into a little bit of, in a lot of ways, a pumpkin, particularly in the last couple of games being a turnover machine.
Call the man a pumpkin?
That's a commonly used term, I promise you. That is a commonly used term.
I'm not familiar with your game, Sam.
And
Flannel.
also, when you look at the Lions' talent, particularly on the defensive side of the ball versus the other three actual contenders,
right,
it's not even in the same stratosphere, particularly when it comes to the pass rush. They have, in a lot of ways, as much as I don't like to say it, been a little bit of easy schedule merchants at this point. So to me, once they face a tough team in the playoffs, they will go down. So they are pretenders.
At least how they're playing lately, especially, I think they're pretenders. So they're a team that I think could still win a playoff game. I still have faith in that. But again, I didn't pick them to go much further than that. So I have to lean with what I've been saying. I'm consistent. Neil Rule would disagree. But they're pretenders. I think they could win a playoff game, but I don't see a scenario in which they make the Super Bowl. I just don't. Especially at this point where the 1 seed is out of question.
Yeah, I would love to say it, but the Lions are still a year or two away, and that's okay. They were just missing off the playoffs. They were 3-13-1 not too long ago. I'm extremely happy with the Lions are at. The Lions fans should be as well. Again, I said over and over again, but it just is what it is right now. The Lions have improved dramatically. They're going to in the next offseason. I think next year is when we start to see them be true contenders. But you just look at Philadelphia, San Francisco, Dallas. I'm not putting Seattle up there yet, but just those three teams, man, there's no doubt that they have an edge on Detroit.
What about you, JB? Where are you at?
I plead the fifth. I don't want to answer this. I don't want to do it.
JB's like, smells fishy.
He's just disappointed.
No, I mean, I'm disappointed the last couple of weeks, especially with the defense and the way Jared Goff has played. So I guess I got to lean pretenders on this one. But the Lions are close to being a very, very excellent football team, and I don't think anyone in the city of Detroit and the Lions fan base can be disappointed with the job that they have done so far. Just look to the future that this team will be a lot better than what we've seen the previous weeks.
Voice of reason. There you have it. I think that was a pretty mutual answer. I think we're all on the same page there. Dallas Cowboys, though, pretenders are contenders. Sam Flannel, talk to me.
The Dallas Cowboys are contenders. And here I'm going to give you a multitude of reasons because I feel like I have to really defend my Cowboys take a lot. The Cowboys are one of two teams in the NFL with a top 5 scoring offense and scoring defense. The other one is the San Francisco 49ers, and Ryan's reaction, just if you are not clear, scoring defense means points allowed per game. So don't come in here with that nonsense anymore. You're quickly becoming one of my least favorite people in the chat. But anywho,
Ryan catches a stray.
No, Ryan's reaction's been awful lately, but that's fine. That's fine. A lot of people might like him, but I'm not. He's a value. I like that he listens, but I don't like a lot of what he's had to say lately because most of it is negative towards me. But all right. Here's one of the reasons why the Cowboys are contenders. I really, really believe in that defense because they have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL, anchored by one of the best edge rushing duos in the NFL in Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. Plus, they might right now, I would say they do have the best corner combination in the NFL with Deron Bland, who to me is my defensive player of the year just with his dynamic playmaking and the fact that he's the number 1 PFF rated corner and his passer rating allowed is under 30, so he's a complete corner, plus he has the playmaking ability, and Stephon Gilmore. And oh, by the way, Tony Pollard looks like he's finally getting kind of more. He was struggling a little bit, but he's looked like to be coming on. Dak Prescott is having a bounce back year, and CeeDee Lamb has emerged into being one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. We already knew that he was, but I think he validated a lot of what he did last year. So to me, the Cowboys are contenders.
Matt N says earlier in the season, Jeff said if you can make the playoffs, then you have a shot and you are a contender. Flip-flopping today. Actually, I did not say that. I said if you're one of the best teams in your conference, you can make an argument you're a contender. I didn't say every team that makes the playoffs. I mean, why would I say that? The Vikings might make the playoffs. Are they contenders? No. Hell no.
The Rams?
The Rams? No,
Falcons.
I meant if you're one of the best teams, which I've been pretty consistent with that. Now, my actual thought on the team itself, like the Jags, for example, I think they're going to be a good postseason team, but pretender meaning do I actually think they'll make the Super Bowl? I do not. So that's how I define that. Not every team that makes the playoff is a contender. I definitely do not believe that. But I'll say for Dallas, the Cowboys, I'll say pretender because it's my actual thought process. By definition, they're one of the better teams. You can make a contender argument, but my thought process on the Dallas Cowboys, I don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl, and I don't think they'll make a Super Bowl. I think the Eagles and 49ers are better than them. So I will go with pretenders because we've seen them fall short, and I think it'll happen again. That's how I feel.
This is by far the closest one for me, but I am going to lead towards contenders right now. I think they have 2 Defensive Player of the Year candidates, so when you do have Dak Prescott, who could show up and be playoff Dak, they have a way to get those points back real quick. I think if you see Jalen Hurts, if the Eagles beat the Cowboys twice in the regular season, if they meet in the playoffs, that third matchup, I'm not saying, but just because how the NFL is such a parity league, it would be a tough thing to do. I don't think the Cowboys are locked to make the Super Bowl, but I think there definitely is a path for them to do so. I think even with Dak playing like this defense is just so high level, they can match up with anybody. And CeeDee Lamb's having the best season of his career. Rico Dowdle, as small as that name may seem, he's really coming along in the playoffs. He's going to be an extra layer for that offense. So if Tony Pollard is kind of having just a game where he can't really get in between the tackles because he's a 5'11 back, I think Rico Dowdle can become a real problem for defenses just because one-on-one with anybody, he can make you miss. So I think Cowboys, they are contenders this year. As much as I cannot stand Rain Dakota Prescott, it's that defense for me.
I disagree.
That's fine. I'm not going to be mad if you say pretenders.
JB, what do you think? Contenders or pretenders, Dallas Cowboys?
Well, we're about to be split because they are pretenders in my book. No disrespect to their record. It's very fine on paper, but once you get into that playoffs and you actually start playing meaningful teams out there, I feel like Dak is just going to turtle once again, and he is not going to be the quarterback that you've seen thus far in getting them their 8-3 record. So, pretenders for me.
There you have it. Let's go to break. We come back. We'll I'm going to show off me and Sam's top 10 list. We'll put them both up on the screen. You guys can agree or disagree with whatever you so choose. And then we'll get to my Pistons rant at 9:45, 9:50. We'll try and get some Patrick Kane talk in there as well. Whatever we can't get to, we'll get to tomorrow. There's a lot to get to in one show. We might save some of it for tomorrow. So we'll see how it trends with the time. But as of right now, we got to hear about our friends from Swiss Insurance. Sam
Absolutely.
Flannel.
Do you have football on the brain? Of course you do. Fall ushers in college and professional football, and this year has been awesome. Fall is also a perfect time to shop your home and auto insurance. Shop it like a pro with Swiss Insurance. They cover Woodward Sports Network, and they should be covering you too. Ask for Mark at Swiss Insurance today at swissins.com or call 248-800-4177. Again, that is 248-800-4177, Swiss Insurance.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Gabby is a college student struggling to study for her big exam. Then she discovered Syntron, a healthy way for her to stay awake and focus. Jennifer frequently has chaotic days like this until she gets online, orders some Syntron, and finds her groove. April visited her local grocery store, purchased a case of Syntron, and entered to win the Syntron 100K Vegas giveaway. Pick up your case of Syntron today at any Meijer location or visit drinksyntron.com/Vegas and enter for the 100K Vegas giveaway.
Come hang with the Woodward Sports crew all throughout football season on Saturdays and Sundays to join our college football and Detroit Lions live watch parties.
Inside the 5, caught, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
With money on the line, featuring different special guests and surprises. Start times will vary depending on the game. Only on our Woodward Sports YouTube channel.
When buying or selling real estate, flexibility and control over the sales process is key. Sellers, how would you like the freedom of canceling your listing agreement at any time for any reason with no penalty? This is exactly what Mark White & Associates offers. It's called the Minute-by-Minute Listing Agreement by Mark White & Associates. Try Mark White's risk-free minute-to-minute listing agreement today. Looking to buy or sell real estate? Visit markwhitesells.com or call 248-290-8242. markwhitesells.com, where flexibility meets success.
We're back. It's that time. Top 10 Tuesday. Lucas, you could throw both of our lists up in you and JB.
You want them at the same time?
Yeah, let's do them both. We don't have time to break them down individually, but you can put them both up, and I want you and JB to kind of tell us what you like, what you don't like about each of our lists, and which one you may agree with more. Because I'm curious.
Bada boom, bada boom.
And this is week 13.
Yep.
So here's both of our lists.
Oh my God!
Very different.
Jeff, get them off.
Very different.
Get them off, Jeff.
Very different lists, but these are our lists. All right.
Oh. Well, for one, just looking at it, Houston Texans need to be above your Denver Broncos. That's where I'll start with that. Both of you guys have the 49ers too low. The 49ers, I can understand putting the Eagles at 1, but that means the 49ers have to be at 2 in my opinion. Where do you guys have the Lions? Both at 8. I don't hate it, but I would probably, when we start talking about Lions, Jags, and Dolphins, right now, just how I'm feeling about it, I think you got to put the Lions in front of the Dolphins, but I'm not going to hate you for it. Get the Browns off your top 10 flannel. Get them off. I know they're 7-4, but they got P.J. Walker back at quarterback again. Maybe even Joe Flacco this Sunday. Get them off there.
Hey, playoff legend Joe Flacco. That's actually facts.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know if I like the Steelers on there either, but I don't know another team you could put in front of them.
That's the problem. I hated doing this.
The Colts just beat the Colts beat the Buccaneers, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the Colts maybe above the Steelers right now just because of quarterback play. But
okay,
there's nothing I really hate about it besides the Broncos and the 49ers need to be 2 on every power rankings if they're not 1. That's my takeaways.
JB, what do you think?
I don't know why Cleveland's on this list. I don't know why Denver's on this list either.
5 straight.
Steelers, decent. Is Kenny Pickett really good?
No,
is he good?
no,
like,
no.
7-4. Like, how are the Steelers even here? And I don't know. I kind of still want to put Houston in here. I know they had a tough loss, but still, come on. C.J. Stroud had over 300 passing yards. Like, I can't even.
That defense looks legit too.
This is how I feel about the Broncos, okay?
We know how you feel about the Broncos.
And I'm stubborn. I picked them to win 10 games, so I'm still going to stand by it, and maybe that's why I'm holding on. But the other part of it is they've won 5 straight with wins against the Browns, Bills, and Chiefs. Like, again, if Lions fans did that, we'd be clamoring, dude. And I get it's not how it looks. Russ isn't lighting up defenses, but they're winning games.
Did you see him on the ground?
They're winning games. So I had to put them on there. We both have the Lions at 8, Sam. That's where we agree. They're not playing better than the teams in front of them right now.
No.
They're not playing better than any of those teams. So I can't, even Miami. Like, Miami just absolutely decimated the Jets, and they have a good defense. So I had to give them that. I get it's Tim Boyle, but still, that defense, I still got to give credit there. So those are our lists. It is what it is. I have the Baltimore Ravens number 2 because of how they're playing, even though that game looked disgusting. I get it on Sunday night, but I still give them the credit. But those are our lists. You have the Chiefs at 2, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
See that bounce back performance from Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
After going down 14-0. Rasheed Rice looks like
Rasheed Rice is coming along.
Travis Kelce, that defense. I mean, it's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. I mean, as much as you guys like to hate that I give them a benefit of the doubt, why wouldn't you at this point?
You think they're better than the 49ers, though? Like, realistically, you think if either the 49ers went into Campbell Head or if the Chiefs went into San Francisco, you would really think that the Chiefs are winning that game?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, no way. No way in hell.
Guys,
with that receiving core, no way, Flannel.
I'm not a Purdy hater or anything like that. I don't trust playoff Brock Purdy like I do playoff Brock. Patrick Mahomes is the best statistical playoff quarterback ever.
Why don't you trust Brock Purdy in the playoffs, though? What was he doing wrong last year in the playoffs before he tore his UCL?
I understand that, but it's still.
So what do you mean you don't trust him?
Because he's still Brock Purdy versus Patrick Mahomes. It's the level of which I trust each quarterback. Does that make sense? Patrick Mahomes on a game-by-game basis is the best playoff quarterback ever.
You're right, but Patrick Mahomes can only run away from so many Pro Bowlers and his receivers dropping passes so it's just too late. Like Eric Armstead. Javon Kinlaw doesn't get brought up enough there, but he's a solid rotation piece. Javon Hargrave. Cleveland Farrell's becoming something. Nick Bosa, Chase Young, there's Randy Gregory, Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, Tre'Davious Ward. Like, the 49ers would just throw around the Chiefs over 4 quarters of a game, I think.
And also, I mean, you know what? You make a compelling argument. That front 7 is pretty formidable in Tre'Davious Ward, obviously, but I don't trust playoff Kyle Shanahan either.
That I can understand, but to get to a Super Bowl, through the NFC, I trust Kyle Shanahan. If it's in the Super Bowl and he's down, then we can maybe have a conversation.
Or he's up. More like he's up.
It's crazy, too. The 49ers favored it against the Eagles this week.
They should be.
Yep.
They should. They play this week?
Yeah, they do.
That was next week. That's going to be...
That'll be a great game.
You, bro,
great game.
49ers are the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, you're probably right. All right, let's go to break here. We come back. We'll talk a little Patrick Kane. We'll get to my Pistons rant at 9:50 because I got some things to get off my chest. We'll get to that. But first, we got to hear about our friends from Dispo.
Dispo, the cannabis shop, which is
that cannabis
yes,
shop.
experience Dispo Romeo, a team that curates an exclusive atmosphere.
Smoking that Chiefs pack.
Mixed with fresh inventory from Michigan's largest variety of products. The first ever cannabis mall of its kind is conveniently located off of Van Dyke and 32 Mile Road in Romeo. Dispo Romeo is now open late night until midnight every day except Sunday. Can it get any better than that? Dispo Dispensary, DispoShops.com, your local cannabis plug.
Come hang with the Woodward Sports Crew all throughout football season on Saturdays and Sundays to join our college football and Detroit Lions live watch parties.
Inside the 5, caught, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
With money on the line, featuring different special guests and surprises. Start times will vary depending on the game. Only on our Woodward Sports YouTube channel.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness!
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel. Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
Come to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Lady Jane's, where I get my A+ haircuts from the A+ stylist free, and you can go for an award-winning haircut experience. Register to win a trip of your dreams and all expenses paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament. That's right, no expense spared for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Welcome back. Breaking news, and I know you guys all know about it, but the Detroit Red Wings, they have signed Patrick Kane, who, again, is coming off a surgically repaired hip. I believe he's 35 years old at this point in time. There was other teams that were interested in him, though, which makes this thing interesting. The New York Rangers, the Florida Panthers, the Buffalo Sabres, and, of course, the Toronto Maple Leafs. All teams that were interested in Patrick Kane. So it is significant. He chose the Detroit Red Wings, and, of course, he's going to have time. He's going to have to practice for the team. He ain't going to play right away, but it's a one-year deal. That's all it is, risk-free for a guy that can come in and contribute. Now, there are concerns about his health. I understand that, but there's no risk. Like, he gets to play with Alex DeBrincat again at times. And on top of that, you talk about last year, still his least productive season. Because, again, this isn't Patrick Kane from 5-10 years ago, but I will tell you this. 57 points in 73 games.
That's pretty solid.
And that's a split between two teams, the Rangers and, of course, the Blackhawks. He's been, again, dealing with the hip injury, and you're reading some of what The Athletic talked about because they have an article out right now. And they write, in Detroit, Kane joins an organization finally showing signs of emerging from a long rebuilding process and one where he'll be reunited with Alex DeBrincat, a line mate he clicked with during their time together in Chicago. DeBrincat leads the Red Wings with 12 goals through 20 games so far. And again, we talk about the Red Wings, man. They're in the conversation. They're going to be a playoff team. At least at this point in time, we predict they will be. And you get another guy that can come in on your second line and contribute, no matter what his age is. Even if he isn't close, if he's 25%, 30%, whatever it is of what Patrick Kane was, that's still improving the roster. So whatever he has left to give, cool. And if he doesn't, cool. It's a risk-free move. for a guy that still has upside. We'll see how the health issues trend, but regardless, Sam Flannel, I think it's a great move from Yzerman.
I mean, maybe I'm being a little too optimistic, but doesn't this seem like the type of move that a team that actually thought they had a chance to compete for a cup would make? I'm not even saying that I think the Red Wings are there at this point, but they're definitely a playoff team, because Patrick Kane, he certainly is not what he was in his prime. I mean, this man is one of the greatest. He's an all-time great. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, 3-time champion, 3 times being the best player on a championship team, a 1-time MVP, just an all-time great, one of the best players of this generation. But even when he played last year, as you said, Jeff, he was productive. He is coming off of an injury, which is concerning, and obviously there's some age. But when you come to this Red Wings team, whenever he's able to play, you get to join a team in which Alex DeBrincat is one of the better goal scorers in the NHL right now, and he's in his prime. He's a point-a-game guy. Dylan Larkin is a point-a-game guy as the center and the captain. You even look at a guy like Lucas Raymond, who has obviously been good to start his career, but is looking to take kind of that leap this season. And so far, he's got 16 points in 20 games, and the Red Wings are a winning team. And you get to pair him with all of those very, very good to great offensive players, and just be kind of the 50% of what Patrick Kane was once in his career, because I still think that is somebody who could be very, very productive on this team and bring, I know I kind of overvalue this, I kind of don't value this as much as some, but is there any credence in the fact that he's won 3 Stanley Cups?
Yeah, there is. I think there is.
Yeah.
He provides a ton of experience, a ton of knowledge, and also I still think he could be somewhat productive.
Yeah.
And the Red Wings have won, 3 straight?
Yeah,
yes.
I think that's
three,
what it was.
three straight.
Yeah,
they're the Boston Bruins killers
and they were,
right
and
now.
it was an impressive 3-game winning streak. And now they add a Patrick Kane without having to give up anything. That's the benefit. Just like Stevie did with Alex DeBrincat, you didn't have to give up that much, and you still got a guy in Alex DeBrincat who's a tremendous player. Look what he's done to this franchise since being here. Now you add Patrick Kane, who again Alex DeBrincat knows very, very well. I think this is a great move for a team that's already winning games. I do, and there's no risk involved in it, which is something that Steve Yzerman does very, very well. Low risk, high reward moves. And I think this is another one. JB, what do you think? Patrick Kane to the Red Wings.
I mean, I can't believe they got the big red machine. Glenn Jacobs from WWE is coming to the Red Wings? I don't believe this. What? This is amazing news. But I don't know. I think it's a good addition as well, too. I mean, hey, the Red Wings are on to a hot start as it is, and this just adds to it as well. I mean, this team is looking pretty nice. Like I've got no complaints about it. This is a nice move. I know he's coming, as you guys said, off of an injury, but if he can bounce back and proven that he's the player that he once was, I don't think this should be a problem for him to continue on and be a solid addition for this team.
And guys, I hate to do this, but I'm gonna stop typing right now with this whole, because I knew this was coming. I gave Patrick Kane a lot of credit, and now you guys are telling me about D-Mac. It's like, well, Darren McCarty won 4. Why don't you give him the same credit? Because Patrick Kane is one of the greatest hockey players to ever lace up the skates, and Darren McCarty would even tell you that he's not in Patrick Kane's stratosphere when it comes to all-time great hockey players. Patrick Kane is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a 0 ballot Hall of Famer at this point. He will get in the second that he leaves the NHL. So cool it with that nonsense. I know you guys are trolling a little bit, or you better be, or else you guys are really, really like gobbling some D-Mac. I'll just say that. That's all I'm saying. It's Patrick fucking Kane. An all-time great. All-time great.
D-Mac's just probably smoking a joint somewhere.
I'm sure he is.
And he just caught a stray. The poor guy. No D-Mac slander.
It's Patrick Kane. We're not talking about a role player.
You took the bait, and they got you. Hoof Hard, it says Kane will be close enough to 100 when the playoffs roll around if the Rings can make it. That's a great point, too.
Yes.
This is more of a postseason bullstring move, and I absolutely love it. But again, Detroit Davert 313 Flannel hates how everyone loves D-Mac.
No, it's Patrick Kane. Do you guys not realize Patrick Kane was the best player on 3 championship teams? He was an MVP. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's why. It's like comparing it's literally like comparing Robert Horry to like LeBron James or something like that, or Robert Horry to Michael Jordan. You guys are insane.
All right,
insane.
Let's go to break. When we come back, we'll talk. I'll get some things off my chest about the Detroit Pistons. What'd you say?
Scheme ass boy said Kane cuck.
I'm not a Kane cuck. He's a fucking Hall of Famer. And he's coming to the Redwings. Happy day. He can help this team win. Come on.
All right, get his nuts out of your mouth. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. All right, let me tell you about our friends over at Les Stanford. What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand and offer more products to more people. This is exactly what Les Stanford has been doing and has done by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC on Woodward Avenue, just south of 9 Mile. Check out Les Stanford in Dearborn today. Find the brand you want at lesstanford.com.
We've just received word. The world's cannabis supply has vanished. The public is outraged and has taken to the streets in response to this tragedy. The individual responsible acted alone, and we can only hope they will make things right soon.
Come hang with the Woodward Sports Crew all throughout football season on Saturdays and Sundays to join our college football and Detroit Lions live watch parties.
Inside the 5, caught, end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions!
With money on the line, featuring different special guests and surprises. Start times will vary depending on the game. Only on our Woodward Sports YouTube channel.
With 18 locations, there's a Feldman dealership in your backyard. Visit FeldmanAuto.com to find the location nearest to you. Since 1996, Feldman Automotive has been driven to provide a fast, convenient, first-class car buying experience called the Feldman Advantage. Catch Woodward Sports live from Feldman Chevrolet in Novi every other Monday. We're back. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network, and it is time.
It's time!
It's time. And JB, I need you to do me a favor. We're doing a funeral today. We are burying the Detroit Pistons. I need it, JB. Cue the music. This is absolutely unfortunate. But also, this has been disgusting. What Pistons fans, including myself, what we've had to endure the last 4 seasons, including this current season. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, especially for a franchise like the Detroit Pistons, who hold a lot of weight historically in the National Basketball Association. It is disgusting. You know what the record is since 2020-2021? 62-191. That is a 32% winning percentage since Troy Weaver first arrived. This is not acceptable. It is not acceptable at all. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you why it is acceptable. And you know what? He knows that. Troy knows that. The coaches know that. And, of course, the players know that. I'm not saying they're okay with losing. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is when you compare it to what other teams in Detroit are doing, you kidding me? You kidding me? We just sat here and talked about the Detroit Redwings. You know what their record is since Stevie first arrived? 114 to 159 since 2019 to 2020. But you know what the difference is? Is that actually when it was time to make a move, Steve Yzerman made a move. You got Alex DeBrincat. You signed Patrick Kane. You signed guys, Perron. You signed guys that can come and contribute in the offseason to surround your young core with talent. You even had some guys that played last year that aren't playing this year. Even though we like some of the young players the Red Wings have. They said, you know what? This is time. It is time to win games. Troy Weaver has not made a move yet. And I'm telling you right now, his patience is going to come back to haunt him. It will. I truly believe that. You're paying Monty Williams to fix problems. But you're also paying Troy Weaver to prevent problems. And he's not doing that. And the whole be patient thing, he did it with Dwayne Casey, and I got a lot of love for Dwayne as a person, but he was too patient with Dwayne. He let that thing ride for too long. And then now there's Monty Williams, his first year as a head coach. Guys, at some point, there has to be guys held accountable. And I don't know who that is. I don't suggest you make a move right now, because what does that do for you? Let's say you do fire Troy Weaver. You think they're going to win 30 games all of a sudden? No, this team is what it is right now. There's no going back. Who they have out there, Monty Williams, they're stuck. They have to improve. Now, there is a trade deadline coming up, and this fan base is starving. Absolutely starving. And you look at the Red Wings, the Lions, hell, the Tigers, the Pistons are a laughingstock in this city. A laughingstock. Absolute laughingstock. And Tom Gore is the owner. We've heard all for the last, couple of years now, how bad Tom wants a winner. He's willing to pay for it. He did it with Monty Williams, made him the highest paid head coach. But look what it's gotten him in the first year. You're 2-15. You're 2-15. Like, this is unacceptable. Like, this trade deadline, guys, I would argue is one of the more important trade deadlines in modern Pistons history. Because if a move is not made, there will be something that has to be done. There will be something. Because this cannot keep up any longer. I feel bad for the people of Detroit that pay money to go watch this garbage team go play at LCA. You might as well drive down 94, open up the window, and just let $50 fly right out the window. That would be a better use of your time than attending any of these Pistons games. And I'm just keeping it 100 because I've defended them nonstop since Troy Weaver first arrived. And again, I like some of the moves he's made. I like the players he's drafted. But you know what I can't defend? That record. I can't defend it. They're garbage, and there's no way around it. They're absolute garbage. Go get somebody. It's that simple. Go acquire talent. The Cavaliers had a process where they went out, upgraded their roster. But guess what? They eventually got Donovan Mitchell. The Lions have not gotten their Donovan Mitchell. They have not made a move. They've been patient with their current young core. But it's clear it's not working. It's very clear. Very clear. And Pistons fans at this point, especially on Twitter, they're fed up, and I don't blame them. It's frustrating to have to sit there and watch this team, especially when you have other options now. Would I rather turn on a Red Wings game or the Pistons game? Yeah, no dip. I'm turning on the Red Wings game. I'm not watching the Pistons. There's no reason to. There's no reason to. You watch them battle against the worst team along with you in the National Basketball Association, the Washington Wizards, who have the worst opponent field goal percentage, 2-point percentage. They're last in the NBA.
You mean mugged?
They're last in 2-point percentage given up to opposing teams. Their defense is one of the worst defenses in the National Basketball Association, and you couldn't even beat them. That's where we're at. I don't think, and this is where I'm at, I don't think firing anybody changes how the season's going. But I'll tell you one thing, Sam Flannel, if you don't make a move at this trade deadline and you don't at least keep Pistons fans bought in for longer, because if you make a move, maybe there is rhyme and reason. Maybe you could say, well, they went out and got somebody, cool. Maybe I do like what they're doing with this core. But if you keep losing games and there's no improvement, somebody has to fall on the sword, unfortunately. This is how it works. It's business. And this is how it works in professional sports. Although you might like what moves a certain guy does, if you're essentially defined as a GM by your win-loss record. That's what you're defined by. Your playoff success. That's what you're defined by. And if you can't even get to the damn playoffs, there's a problem. Or at least show progress. There's a problem. This team looks worse than they did last year, and they didn't have Cade Cunningham. And he's back. And they look worse. This is awful. Absolutely awful. I have nothing positive to say right now. There's nothing. There's zero. Zip. Nada. Nothing. There's nothing to say. This team is garbage. And Monty Williams was frustrated. You watch his post-game press conference. He's pissed off, rightfully so. But he deserves blame too. Because Troy Weaver can't go on the court and make these guys play better. It's also up to Monty Williams. You're the highest paid head coach in the National Basketball Association. Fix it. It's not that hard. Fix it. At least be better than 2-15. Hell, I'd take 8 wins right now. 6 wins. You're 2-15. It is awful. Like, it's absolutely awful, and I have nothing to say. I can't say nothing. I got nothing to say. There's nothing I can sit here and be. No, there's no slappy. There's no piss and slap. Nobody can say a damn thing about being patient and believing in the future. It's bullshit. And Pistons fans, I don't have a problem if any of you guys just boycott LCA. Don't attend a single damn Pistons game the rest of the year. They don't deserve your hard-earned money. That shit team at LCA doesn't deserve your hard-earned money. And that's a lot for me to say that. I love the Pistons, but this is disgusting. And I feel bad for Pistons fans. I haven't even worn any Pistons merch. You notice that? I wore a Rasheed Wallace a shirt the other day. He deserves it. Because those are the times where you could actually be proud to be a Pistons fan. What you're watching and what you're going in and seeing if you go to LCA is disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. It's terrible.
Well said, Jeff. I don't even know.
Well spoken take.
I don't
Jeff.
even know if there's anything I can add to that. I will say this though.
Rest in peace, the Detroit Pistons.
That's very. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. But at this point, I'm just gonna piggyback really quick. I'm ready to launch Troy Weaver out of a fucking cannon at this point. I think a lot of people are coming over to my side because. You mentioned 8 wins, how you'd be happy with that. You know who actually does have 8 wins right now, and it's embarrassing? The Houston Rockets have 8 wins. They even made moves. They added Dylan Brooks, who we all just laughed at. Oh my God, the Houston Rockets signed Dylan Brooks.
Fred VanVleet, baby.
And you know what? Dylan Brooks is actually helping their team and is an over 45% three-point shooter right now. Fred VanVleet gives them something that they needed, someone who can distribute the ball. He leads the team in assists.
But they spent money. The Pistons have not done that. I'm telling you, it's going to come back to bite Troy Weaver in the ass.
And that's part of it, though.
You could be patient, right? I'm patient. But this is not worth being patient for. Nope. This is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And the whole Ime Udoka thing, I was very high on Ime Udoka. Listen, I still have confidence in Monty Williams, but he deserves just as much blame as Troy does. Troy deserves blame for not getting this thing right, but what's transpiring on the court, that falls on the shoulders of your head coach. Like, it's both of their faults. You could go at Cade, cool. I don't think anybody's absolved from any criticism, but whatever's happening, fix it. Fix it. You shouldn't be losing a game or getting blown out, not losing a game, getting blown out to the Washington Wizards. That is awful. I mean, seriously, I can't even honestly argue with you, Sam, about the Troy Weaver stuff. I'm not going to go there. I don't think you should be fired at this point in time. But if you feel that way, how can I blame you?
Yeah.
I can't argue anything. There's nothing I can argue. So, for PR reasons, I'm sorry. You can't. There's nothing to say.
Yep.
Nothing to say.
And I obviously agree with you 100%. And even like I said, and the reason why I bring up the Rockets is before this season, I gave the Rockets a lot of crap for what they were building and for what they did. And I was high on the Pistons. I thought they were going to win at least 30 games, but obviously I was dead wrong. And here's the thing. When we're talking about even the Pistons versus the Rockets, they'll always be linked because of like Amen versus Asar and Jalen Green versus Cade Cunningham. Right now, we're not talking about Jalen Green versus Cade Cunningham. We're talking about Cade Cunningham versus Sengun. Sengun is the best player that either of those teams have, and he has more help than Cade Cunningham at this point because Jabari Smith, he's another one that's taken a leap. He's had a bit of a sophomore renaissance. Jalen Green, although I'm still not high on him, I think he's a volume scorer. He's still averaging almost 20 points on a team with an above 500 record. So right now, we laughed at the Houston Rockets and we were high on the Pistons' progress, and right now the Houston Rockets are laughing at us because they've at least done something. And the Detroit Pistons, they might not even win 10 games. They might be the fucking Charlotte Bobcats of 10 years ago, for real.
Is this the worst Detroit sports team in recent memory? Like even the 0-16 line, do you think?
It's trending that way. Again, the NBA, it's 82 games, so again, there could be a stretch of games where they win.
Two or three.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't even know where I'm going with that because honestly, they might not even do that. But again, it's different. But at this point in time, Lucas, yes, it's awful. Yeah.
Yeah, because you only had 16 games to sit here and watch the Lions do absolutely nothing. Whereas the Pistons, it's night in and night out. You're seeing constant L's after L's, and it's annoying and it's frustrating.
And I'm sorry. Like I want to apologize, and I want to apologize to Pistons fans. I am sorry you have to watch this. Like it's so bad. It's so bad. Again, if you don't want to go to a single Pistons game, I completely understand. Unless you want to take your girl for like $20, and that's fair. You want to go out there and have a date, cool. But if you're going there to enjoy a game, I wouldn't. I wouldn't at this point until that team shows you more. There's no reason to. In this comment, talking about the Spurs. Hey, Jeff, Spurs are 3-14. Well, guess what? The Spurs are a significantly worse team with talent, but they still make it work. Coaching, it is what it is. I just don't think Victor. Devin Vassell, he's solid, but they're again like the Spurs to me are a worse team on paper, but they're better by a game.
They're worse, but they're still selling out because people want to go and see the unicorn. They want to see Victor Wembanyama. That's the thing. They have an attraction.
Yes, they do, but they want to stink. The Spurs want to stink. They're in the beginning of a long rebuild. The Pistons have been in a rebuild. That's where it's frustrating. If I'm a Spurs fan, I just got Victor. Okay, let's tank again. Let's get another top 5 pick. Let's get another stud. The Pistons have a plethora of young, up-and-coming talent. But what is it getting you? Nothing. Houston has done a good job of blending their young players with experienced players, and they spent money on those guys. Pistons have not done that. Troy Weaver, it's time to spend money, my man. You got money. You cleared cap space. I get all of that. Spend money. Go get somebody. Go trade for somebody. Get a Zach LaVine. Go get some. I don't care who it is. They have to improve this roster, and if you don't do it, I'm telling you, patience is going to bite Troy Weaver in the ass. I believe that. If he's fired, it's because of this long be patient stuff. Because at some point, it ain't it. You can't be patient. Like, at some point, you're done. You don't have the time to be patient. Tom Gores is not going to let you have the time. And I believe that. Because he hears the noise. You don't think he doesn't? He hears all the noise, Pistons fans being pissed off. He gets it. So, all I'm saying, again, I'm apologizing on my behalf to the Pistons fans out there. It's absolutely frustrating. It's disgusting.
Really quickly, do I get any sort of, not apologies, but maybe I can see where you were coming from when I gave my whole Stan Van over Troy Weaver take?
No.
Come on!
Because
that doesn't fit my narrative.
No, because, and I'll tell you why, the difference, the only thing I can fault Troy for, and you could look at the win-loss record, cool, but with context, the reason why I'm pissed, it's frustrating for Troy Weaver is because he has not made a move. Stan made a lot of dumb moves.
Sure.
Like, Troy's done everything correctly in terms of creating cap space, drafting young talent, like better than Stan Van Gundy, but the last thing he has not done is go get some guys that are experienced. Go get some dudes. Go get a player. Go get a player. That's all you need. Go get a guy who can get you 20 points a game. Give up the whole effing farm, whatever it takes. So I trust me, I have a deep-rooted hate for Stan Van Gundy, so I'm not going to go there. But it's frustrating, man. Like, and if you want to say we'll stand because he won games, cool. All right. I mean, I'll give you that. But it's bad. It is bad. All right, let's get out of here. I just went over 8 minutes. All right, screw this team, man. Damn it. We got to have Kool-Aid on. Jesus.
Poor guy.
I know, that guy.
Going to war on Twitter right now. fighting Pistons haters off from every angle, and he's got no hill to stand on.
It's so bad. It's so bad. All right, let's get out of here. Appreciate you guys for joining the show. Had a great show today. A lot more planned throughout the week. We'll get into more Lions-Saints breakdown tomorrow, Thursday, and, of course, Friday. We'll talk about that more. Probably no Pistons talk the rest of the week. That was it. I just want to acknowledge it, that I see. All right, I see the talk, and it's frustrating, and I'm with you guys. Like, it's... God. All right, until tomorrow, catch you guys. Big D Energy 11 to 1, Ermanni Edwards 2 to 4, and Heavyweights 5 to 7, and Woodward Nights 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Have a great rest of your day. Drive safe. People don't know how to drive, even
after it snows.
Yeah, it's like half an inch of snow and everyone's crashing. All right, be safe out there. We'll see you guys. Catch you tomorrow.